Remember the Nintendo Wii? Yeah, as prophesized in my Christmas Carol episode, I would one day be dedicating a full episode to the Wii. Back in 2006 when it came out, I was busy talking about the Power Glove and how the idea of controlling the game with physical movement and game sensors was something that didn't really work out.
Now you're playing with power. Now you're playing with fucking shit.
Well, the Wii Remote was a big improvement over the Power Glove, but it definitely had its not-so-great moments. Check out Party Babies! Yeah, these babies are here to party! It takes place in a nursery with a bunch of baby party games. Now, tell me, can you imagine a nursery where they call the kids Baby 1, Baby 2, and so on? That's some shitty nursery! They don't even take the time to remember the kids' names? Not to mention, what's with the big scary monkey face? Is this a nursery or some kind of demented funhouse? So I'm the baby on the left, falling on my ass. Even with the instructions, I still can't get the controls down. Yeah, that's how the Wii is. It's all about inventing different kinds of motions. Like you might have to move it like this, or like this, or like this. And as soon as you figure it out, it's on to the next minigame, and now it's all different. Give me a chance. Like this race here, what you have to do is hold the remote horizontally and tilt it left and right really fast. Does that sound like fun? It isn't. Well, I almost made it to the next part, but then the rest of the babies all jump on these little bouncy animal things, and they leave me in the dust. The game won't let me move anymore. Stop me dead in my tracks. And now I gotta sit here and watch the rest of the race? Come on, you can't leave a baby behind, that's brutal! And when they lap me, I'm gone. What happened to the baby? That's fucked up, man! And anyone who wants to tell me this game is easy would only be admitting they're good at Party Babies. Then there's Balls of Fury, based on the ping pong comedy with Christopher Walken. So you just swing the Wii remote around like an idiot and try to pull off crazy moves. There's not much to say about this game, other than just the fact that it exists. Then there's Monkey Mischief, where you steal steaks from lions. Yeah, somebody had to think of that. Monkeys stealing steaks from lions. Then there's Billy the Wizard. Oh man, but you think it's a ripoff of Harry Potter, huh? Just you wait, it's a ripoff of Superman 64! All you do is fly through rings. I mean, sorry, they're hoops, not rings. All I do is run into walls and try to make giant U-turns to get myself back around. Oh, these controls suck. It would be like if Superman 64 were broken! But of all the games I've auditioned, I think the one you need to see is Purr Pals. Aww. It's one of those virtual pet games where you raise a pet. First, you pick your cat. And I gotta hand it to them, the customization is off the hook. I can't believe how many different cat breeds they've included here. Oh my, they have a Turkish van. Well, that's just perfect, because I have a real Turkish van for 14 years now named Yeti. And for this occasion, I think you should meet the elusive Yeti. Aw, so damn cute. Oh, you're so soft. You're so soft, you white little fluffy piece of shit. Oh, you fucking fuckface. Anyway, the main gist of the game is to maintain the pet and keep up with her needs. Does she need grooming? Alright, well, groom that shit. Oh god, they animated the cat lifting its ass. That's what cats do, but this one looks like she just stepped in a puddle with a live wire. The way it really goes is like this. Pet your cat down the back and they raise their butt to the sky. It's almost automatic, like it's a button called butt on. You know, I looked up the reason why cats do this. It's because they want to mark you with their scent from their anal glands. Oh, God, Yeti. I like whenever you pet the cat, she sparkles. Yeah, that's right. You ever have that happen? You ever pet your cat and it sparkles? Oh, Yeti, old lady Yeti, old lady Yeti, old lady Yeti. So much fur, so much fucking fur, you little piece of shit. She can also play with a ball of yarn. Here, oh, you want this yarn? Here, go get it. Oh shit, I threw it in the tub. And the playing was so intense, it made the tub disappear. This cat never actually touches the yarn. She just runs near it and rolls around. What's this cat's problem? If the cat's hungry, you feed her. She anxiously waits by standing and clapping like she's at some dance party. Yeah, you know when you bring your cat food and it fucking dances? The idea is simple. You put the food in the bowl, right? You take the sponsored Purina can and put it in the green bowl with the arrow. Nope, that's not a food can. That's the bowl the cat eats out of. Okay, so you grab the Purina from the inventory on the left and you place it in the Purina bowl. Nope. Okay, you take the Purina from the inventory and place it in the green bowl, and then you awkwardly turn the Wii remote to pour it out. It lands in the bowl and teleports its way into the Purina bowl. Oh, and that other blue dish, never mind that. Why does there have to be so many different bowls? It would have been the simplest thing to program. Just have the food here and the dish here. And also, who puts their cat dish in the direct center of the kitchen anyway? You could even spray the cat with water. Oh, come on, really? Then there's a bunch of mini games like Mouse Hunt. You control a mouse and have to sneak past the cat without getting caught. Wouldn't it be more fun if you were controlling the cat? Besides, a mouse would never be stupid enough to get that close to a cat. But who cares about any of that? What really concerns me is the gasoline and propane tank. Who the hell lets their cat play around gasoline and propane? Doesn't seem like the safest area. Of course, it's just a game, but what raises the biggest question is, why did they design it that way? Why do they stick out so much? I have a hard time believing that they're just part of the scenery. I mean, don't they seem like props you're meant to interact with? It just leaves you with an ominous feeling. Nothing. Oh, the cat went through the tire. Of course, the cat's hanging around gases and chemicals so much, it reduces the cat's molecular density, allowing her to pass through solid matter. This cat definitely has supernatural properties. It levitates. You ever see your cat levitate? What do you think, Yeti? Then there's a golf game. Yeah, golf. You might wonder what this has to do with cats. Well, the cat has an owner, and the owner likes to play golf in the backyard. So basically it has nothing to do with anything. Oh, shit, almost hit the cat. Then there's ping pong. Oh, God. Oh! Oh, make it stop. Make it stop. It's killing me. I kind of thought the cat would chase the ping pong ball, you know, like cats do. But no, this cat is actually playing fucking ping pong, and it's a pro. Did the people who designed this game ever own or know a cat? That doesn't happen. Oh, but it's great. This is the stuff of fucking legend. All right, let's see what you got, cat. Let's see. Let's see what... Ah! It's a fucking creepy gnome in the background. Please, somebody tell me, why is it there? They just put a fucking gnome just looming back there. What's the reason? Who thought, hey, you know what this background is missing? A creepy gnome. This whole scene is not normal. I'd like to see a reenactment of this. You're up, Yeti. Then there's basketball. You just keep tossing balls at the net while the cat sits there and watches. Meanwhile, the gnome is standing there, turned away as if he's taking a piss. I mean, that is the universal pose for I'm facing the other way because I'm pissing. Now, what bothers me is that it seems this gnome is in a different spot than before. Now, if I had a gnome statue in my backyard and every time I looked out the window it was in a different spot, I'd be a little bit concerned. Wish that cat would do something. Come on, get that ball. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Hot damn! Yeah! Oh boy, what kind of catnip is she on? That cat fucking slam dunked that shit! That is ingenious. and totally unrealistic. There's so many other things they could have included that a real cat would have done. There's, of course, the classic chasing of the laser pen, the game we like to call Kill the Red Dot, which is in the game, basically. But what about drinking out of the sink? That would have been a good one. Aim the cat's tongue to catch the water. I've often wondered why cats never drink the water after you fill the dish. I mean, it's the same exact water that came out of the faucet. Yeah, but what fun is the dish? I mean, they want the water to be fresh and flowing. Those picky little bastards. How about a stage where you have to open the door for the cat, but the cat changes its mind, so you have to keep reopening it? Or how about when you're trying to walk and the cat stays one step in front of you, so you gotta walk really slow? I mean, I wouldn't want to walk near somebody's legs. I mean, it's just this big giant coming at you. I mean, why do they do that? Or how about when you're trying to go down the steps, but they run past you because they gotta race you to the bottom? Or how about a stage where you control the cat leaping onto different furniture to get up high? Yeah, you've never seen a cat think so hard as to when it's planning the trajectory of its next jump. The ultimate goal is to reach the highest spot. You know, it's the King Kong complex. Climb to the highest peak to show who's boss. How about a stage where you get up out of your chair and then have to race back before the cat steals your spot? How about a target practice game where you gotta claw the cursor on the computer screen? How about one where you headbutt your owner, or one where you climb into their lap and then just sink your fucking claws in there? Or where you chase their foot under a blanket like it's a moving animal? How about one where you close the closet door not knowing the cat's in there? Now you think the cat would meow because having the door open would mean they can come out whenever they want. But no, they're not ready to come out yet, so they're gonna wait hours, then they're gonna meow because cats only think in the moment. So anyway, that's a lot of ideas right there. But no, how on earth did they come up with cats shooting arrows at hearts? It's those damn cats again, always up on the ledge shooting those hearts with an arrow. Who's holding the bow anyway? And where are the other cat's ears? Then there's a Simon Says game called Copycat, where you watch the colored lights and then copy the same pattern.
Meow, 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 meow. Meow.
You gotta love how the cats poke their heads out. I especially love the one that jumps out the top. Then there's a singing game where you have to catch the notes. This is the reason why video games were invented. Anyway, there's not much else to this game. You just feed the cat, throw the yarn, do a mini game, feed the cat, clean the shit, throw the yarn. What? Well, I came really close to saying this game sucks so badly. It would be more fun to play with cat turds. Well, then here comes a game where you're actually playing with cat turds. Oh my God! Somebody made this game for me! Oh my God, I finally found it! Where has this been all my life? I can't even make a joke about Nintendo Wii. You know, Wii like piss? No, because we went straight to shit! This game knows what it is! And you want to know how it plays? Like shit. You're supposed to press A to pick up the poop and dump it in the bag. But it barely works. Come on, pick up the shit. Pick up the shit. Pick up the shit! I can't even talk about the controls being shitty because it's literally shit. Shitty controls of controlling shit. The only thing better would be if you took control of the cat's asshole, the cat's-hole, and aimed the shit into the duty pan. The controls would be worse than the refueling stage in Top Gun. To sum up Purr Pals, it is the most perplexing pussy Wii game I've ever played, with the clumsiest of controls, the most ludicrous minigames, the most fucked up feline scenarios ever conceived by a human mind. What were they thinking, drinking, smoking? How did it get made? I don't know. But I'm glad it did.
Tonight's Halloween marathon continues.
Assholes, tonight at 9. Well, seen that one before. Yeah, I'm getting tired of the same old horror movies. You know what? I'm gonna go see that new Nosferatu movie. Yeah, there's a new Nosferatu, which is a remake of the remake. I'm very curious about that, so gonna go check it out. Yeah, so it's not out yet. It comes out on Christmas. Christmas Day. Of all the days of the year to release a horror film, why pick Christmas? What were they thinking? Well, gonna have to wait to see Nosferatu, but at least for now, I can play the game. That's right, the game. Yeah, Nosferatu on Super Nintendo. I'm sure you have one of two possible responses. What's Nosferatu? Well, it was the ancient Romanian word for the insufferable one, but never mind that. It was the title of the 1922 German silent horror film, which happens to be the oldest surviving adaptation of Dracula. But if you already know that and you're thinking, holy shit, there's a Nosferatu game, well, see for yourself. Holy shit. Fuck my fucking nuts off. This looks amazing. For a 16-bit game, the graphics are very impressive. I hope I'm not making this assessment preemptively, but I will say this game is awesome. If you're at all surprised by just the fact this game exists, well, so was I. It was released in 1995 in North America, but it wasn't until after the turn of the millennium when I first heard of it. If it was in Nintendo Power, I must have missed it. Its obscurity has some similarities to the classic film. As the story goes, the filmmakers didn't get permission to adapt the Dracula novel, so they changed the names. For example, Dracula was renamed Orlok, but a court ruled against it and ordered all copies of the film to be destroyed. Though obviously some managed to survive, because then how the fuck are we looking at it? Though the game was never destroyed, not yet, it does feel like an unofficial Dracula. You can clearly tell from the cutscenes and especially the game over screen that it's meant to be Dracula. Some speculate that the reason they couldn't call it Dracula, or chose not to, was because of Konami having already established such a well-known franchise with the character. I mean, it's so famous I don't even think I need to say the name of this franchise, but I will. Castlevania, or Devil's Castle Dracula. I'm pretty sure the character was public domain by then, and it's worth noting that there were other Dracula games such as Bram Stoker's Dracula, you know, the one with Fred Fox. But the Nosferatu game has the same type of premise. A guy goes into a castle to fight a bunch of monsters, ultimately to face a final vampire boss. But if there was any game it copied, it would be Prince of Persia, with its detailed character animation and controls that attempt realism. You have to painstakingly climb up walls rather than just effortlessly hopping around. I wouldn't call this a platformer game, it's more like a cliffhanger game. So what I'm saying is, Nosferatu, at its best, is Prince of Persia, and at its worst, is Lester the Unlikely, but let's not go there. The moves do take a while to figure out. Even if you look them up or somehow have the original manual, it takes a lot of practice. I actually ran the timer out before I even had a chance to try all the moves. And even then, sometimes the attacks just don't want to connect. I have to address the fact that your only method of attack is punching and kicking. You know, I always find it amusing when you punch the ever-loving fuck out of a monster. I mean, that takes some serious nerve, to just go up to that thing and punch it. He even raises his fists, goes into a fight stance like, come and get it. Gonna hook you up with some combos. Even in Doom, the reason you would ever punch demons is because you ran out of bullets. But this guy, he came here by choice without any weapons. I mean, you could see in the opening cutscene, he arrives at the castle unarmed. I figured along the way you would pick up weapons, right? A cross, a silver dagger, some holy water. But no, there are no weapons at all. Who would have thought a vampire hunting game would be all hand-to-hand combat? And this guy doesn't seem to be a mutant or have any superpowered abilities. He's just some ordinary-looking dude. Damn! Don't ever fuck with him! When you beat the stage boss, he shows off some moves, like you won the round. Were they trying to make a tournament fighter or a beat-em-up game? And then at the last minute it got turned into a horror-themed adventure? Not to mention, the Stage 2 boss is a pair of apes. What kind of theme are we going with here? I don't think they even knew what time period the game takes place. The game over screen has a photograph. At first I didn't think much of it, but after dying so many times and having to constantly look at it, I started wondering, why the hell would there be a photo? I mean, wait a minute, the date on it says 1990. Is that when the game is supposed to take place? I thought maybe 1890. In the cutscene, he's riding a horse. It definitely implies this is classic Dracula time period. But no, the Ninja Turtle movie came out the same year this guy's riding a fucking horse into a castle. And besides, that is one sorry-ass game over screen. A guy and a girl smiling in a photo? Not a tombstone or a pile of bones or blood-dripping letters that say you're dead. No, just a vacation photo that could be somebody's goddamn profile pic. MySpace, yeah. Isn't that what the kids do these days? Huh? No? I'm a little behind, guys.
Who made this game?
I'm gonna move my thumb away. Yep, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna move my thumb away. Seta. Yeah, it couldn't have been LJN because I already did all the LJN games, finished them all off in my episode 200. So, Seta, who did that? Oh no. Oh, no! Now we know the extent of what we're dealing with here. Check this out. You often come to a low clearance where you have to pass through a narrow space. You're probably thinking you just duck and crawl, right? Or do a slide like Mega Man. Well, you'd be right that you slide, but it's not that simple. You don't just press down and A, no. You have to get a head start and then run by doing a double tap on the D-pad, and then you slide by pressing down and Y. It may seem fine enough to deal with, except the run doesn't always work. You're probably familiar with other games that use the double tap to run, like Battletoads and the Ninja Turtles beat-em-up games. But this is like a broken version of that. Is it supposed to be 2 slow taps, 2 fast taps, or fuck it, try 3 taps? It doesn't matter. It only works when it feels like it, and that's unacceptable because there are tons of spots where you need to run. Whether it's a running jump or a running slide, you have to do it again and again and again. So it must be reliable, but it isn't. Oh, and then there's times when you run by accident, like if you're trying to walk real slow or inch yourself to a certain spot, it might trigger the run. Then I realized something. It just hit me like a 10-ton pile of shit. There is no reason the double tap should be necessary at all. Couldn't run be its own button, like L or R? Those do nothing. And what about X or A? Those are dead buttons too. The game only uses Y and B, attack and jump. You can reassign the buttons, but it doesn't matter because there's only 2. All the other buttons go to waste. It seems this game was designed for the NES. But this was in 1995. It wasn't like Super Nintendo just came out. In fact, PlayStation was out by then. I already said they didn't know what genre game they were making, but they didn't even know what console they were making it for. I'm starting to think this game might not be as awesome as it first looks. Man, such potential. Great style, great design. I mean, who doesn't love a good spooky adventure where you're going through a bunch of haunted scenery, fighting creatures of the night? But it's ruined by one minor peeve after another. Certain monsters drop crystals on the floor, but you have to stand in the most precise spot to pick them up. It's like trying to pick a penny off the floor. It's not worth it. What are these crystals for anyway? Well, to increase your attack power and shit, but it doesn't matter. As soon as the next thing hits you, you lose them. Let's say you open a treasure chest and get an item. What will be your next instinct? To walk away, right? You got the item. Done. But no. I found out there could actually be more items in the chest, so you have to keep grabbing until you've got everything. Who would think to do that? In Zelda, when you open a chest, there's only one item. That's it. You don't keep digging into the same chest. But some chests have no items at all. Instead, a shitty ghost that pops out and hits you. That's a cheap shot, a gotcha trap. But everything I've mentioned so far is just petty poopy. The real shit is coming up. Theoretically, it's a short game with only 6 stages. But you know what other game has only 6 stages? Ghosts and Goblins. And that's one of the hardest, most ball-busting motherfuckers ever. With Nosferatu, it doesn't really get that hard until stage 3, and as far as I'm concerned, that's where the playability runs out. The problem is they give you only one life. When you die, it's game over and you go back to the last checkpoint, wherever that is. They're real stingy about these checkpoints. After a long, punishing stretch, you'll come to a doorway, which would seem like the perfect, logical place for the checkpoint, but nope. Well, that's one way to make 6 stages feel like 100, by turning them into endurance rounds, forcing the player to repeat the same parts over and over and over until they've mastered it. I'm playing on the normal difficulty setting, by the way, and I cannot pass stage 3, not without a code, and I tried for hours. I gave it my best. You know, this gave me that same experience as all those tough-ass games you've seen me play over the years. It's so familiar to me now, I recognize it, like a sickness coming on. Oh, here's the sore throat phase, here comes the runny nose. You've gone through it so many times, you know the feeling. And here's how I would describe what I'd call the 3 phases of angry nerd gaming. Phase 1 is the confusion stage. What am I supposed to do? Where do I go? This is when you learn the game, and the only way to do that is by dying a lot. You will attempt leaps of faith, or more like faithless leaps of death. You will run into dead ends and have to find your way around the maze. You will get stuck until you realize there's a hidden path, the classic cryptic bullshit. And you might even fall through the goddamn floor. So, essentially, what you're doing in Phase 1 is having a free-for-all fuck-up fest until you've memorized the entire layout of the stage up till the next checkpoint. Phase 2 is when the element of chance creeps in behind you and kicks you in the ass. This is the part when you think nothing major can go wrong, because by now, you know what you're doing. You have the knowledge and the practice, but for some reason, shit doesn't work. Let's say you have to make a running jump to grab onto a wall. 3 simple actions: run, jump, grab. And if just one of those become unresponsive, look, see, just like that. It didn't grab, but I know I was pressing up. The biggest wild card for me was this section where you have to pass over a spike pit while hopping across 3 crumbling platforms and being chased by some obnoxious creature that swings from the ceiling. It even laughs at you when you die. It seems self-explanatory enough. Just hop across the platforms. But sometimes the jump fails and you get stuck in this crouching position. Like, what the hell? I was hitting the jump button. Sometimes you try to jump and he just falls into the pit. And even when you've made it across, there's still a chance it'll happen again. I've tried holding left while tapping B, tapping left while holding B, every possible combination to hack the controls, and just when I thought I had it figured out, it stopped working. It's all random luck of the controls, and whenever I did pass this section, I always ended up dying somewhere else. You're expected to have a perfect marathon, which is basically like trying to flip a coin and have it land on heads multiple times in a row. When you fail, you get mad and want to try that same part over again, immediately, while it's fresh in your mind. But no, you have to start over and redo that whole stretch. And that brings me to phase 3. Phase 3 is when boredom and fatigue sets in. This is the stage of the sickness when you're wondering, when is this going to be over? You're so exhausted from playing the same parts over and over that you start playing shittier because you're rushing. Your patience is gone. This is when you can barely even stand to look at the graphics anymore. Those colors and patterns are burning into your eyeballs, and that music has fucked its way into your mind. As you can see, I lost my fucking mind. Yeah, I hit my breaking point. I realized there was no way I was passing stage 3, even if I spent all day. So that's when I tried the code. This allowed me the opportunity to play every stage and fail on every stage. Fuck! Ah! Oh, fuck! 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 I've shown you everything worthwhile. There's not that much variety. So here's the final battle with Dracula, or Nosferatu, whatever. He switches back and forth between his human and bat forms, and I have to say, I had my doubts, but it turns out that you still don't get any weapon, even at this point in the game. The whole mission comes down to a bare-fisted slugfest against the king of vampires. It's one thing for this guy to go around punching monsters, but to actually kill the undead Prince of Evil with his bare fucking fists makes him the most unbelievably badass character of all time. Jeez, holy shit. Can you kill a vampire in hand-to-hand combat? Is that part of the lore? Did they ever establish that in the original Nosferatu film? Come to think of it, this battle goes exactly how you'd expect. I mean, look at this. I'm getting my ass handed to me. And it's pretty rare to see your life bar bigger than the final boss's and still impossible to beat him. I managed to sneak in a combo every now and then, but it takes 2 combos to drain only half of 1 crystal. Half! You know what? Fuck this game. This is one of the most deceivingly shitty games I've ever played because it's almost awesome. It has a great style in that Castlevania sort of way. Let's not say Castlevania because it only makes me wish I was playing Castlevania. It has awful, unpredictable controls, not enough checkpoints, no extra lives, cheap traps. If you have anxiety, this is a game that a doctor would tell you to avoid. It's one of the most nerve-wracking pieces of shit on the Super Nintendo. By all definitions, this is Nosferatu, the insufferable one. When it comes to movie-based games, you'd think I covered them all by now. But here's another one, based on the Bruce Willis film, Hudson Hawk, on Nintendo.
What's Nintendo?
The film is a mix of action and slapstick comedy. Bruce plays Eddie Hawkins, who's just been released from prison after serving his time for committing robberies. He's supposed to be the most skilled burglar in the world. Yeah, so skilled he gets caught. Anyway, all he wants is a cappuccino, but he gets forced into doing another big heist when he's blackmailed by members of a mafia crime family known as the Mario Brothers. Wow, the Mario Brothers. And I'm sure it's a conscious reference because they mention Nintendo multiple times.
Play Nintendo, bone some chicks.
Wow. Play some Nintendo, bone some chicks? I'm surprised they were able to say that while having an official tie-in with an NES game.
Will you play Nintendo with me?
Wow, that should have been the commercial. Bruce Willis saying, "Would you play Nintendo with me?" Boom! Sold! But the marketing strategy on this game was so poor that as a kid, I never even heard of this game. But it definitely would have gotten my attention, especially if they just ran an ad that said, "Play some Nintendo, bone some chicks." How's that for a slogan? That would have sold some copies. Better than "Play it loud" and all that shit. You know, they should have done that since the early days of gaming. You know, for Atari, instead of this, they should have sang this.
Have you gotten laid today?
Big improvement. Okay, I might have gotten off topic there. So in the film, the bad guys force Bruce to steal the works of Leonardo da Vinci, not because they want them, but because they contain secrets. It's like the Da Vinci Code, but shitty. The secrets are that Da Vinci hid crystals in them. Crystals needed to power a machine that turns lead into gold. The criminal's master plan is to flood the market with gold so that it'll crash the world's economy. Do you even care at this point? All you need to know is it's a movie. It has Bruce Willis. He's screaming his head off. He's doing that stupid laugh he does. You gotta love him. He's as sarcastic as ever, like John McClane exaggerated as a cartoon. You want Die Hard with the comedy ramped up? That's what this is.
How am I driving? 1-800, I'm gonna fucking die!
Actually, I don't know what this is. I don't have any clue what's going on.
Anna Baragni came to play!
The slapstick humor is so dumb and so unfunny, it becomes funny again. Just as an example, there's a running gag where he keeps trying to drink a cappuccino and something always happens. So the film's a mixed bag, but let's see what kind of bag the game is. First, I need a beer. Well, the first thing to mention is the cover art. The PAL version has Bruce Willis's face, but the North American version does not. So what gives? Did Bruce Willis have a problem with one part of the world using his likeness? Did he find out how bad the game sucks and had the art pulled?
What is that?
That's a copy of Hudson Hawk on the NES.
Is this funny? You think this is some kind of fucking joke, huh?
But check out his in-game character. Wow. Flat top, super suntanned, not even close to Bruce Willis. Seems the movie made more references to Nintendo than Nintendo actually made references to the movie. The first stage, you're trying to rob an auction house, which actually does follow the film, although your main weapon is throwing baseballs that fly in an arc over everything. Okay, in the movie, he does throw a baseball. In like one scene, but it's to break a window in order to use a grappling hook. So instead of the grappling hook, we get the fucking baseball? You have to use the baseball to distract dogs. There's tons of dogs always ready to drag your ass off a building. Are there dogs in the movie? Well, yes, but I kinda have the feeling it's a coincidence. Could they be referring to the one that tries to eat his crotch? Or that really weird scene where he launches the dog out the window? Anyway, it's only a minute and a half into the game when the true fuckery begins. There's a window you need to reach, but you can only get up there by stacking 2 crates. So you take one of the crates up this little elevator, you push it on top the other crate. Ugh, that's sloppy. Let me straighten it out. Oh, shit. Now I gotta hop up there again, bring the elevator back down, take the crate back up, push it right on top. Push it back to the elevator, bring the elevator down. Oh, motherfucker. Push it out of the way, bring the elevator down, take the crate up. Okay, got him stacked. Now all I gotta do is jump. Fuck! Do it all over again. And finally, I made it! Whew, boy. I need a beer after that. Next, you're in a hallway guarded by what looks like security cameras, except they shoot lasers. Jeez, that's some intense level of security. Not only are the trespassers caught on video, but they're immediately incinerated. Wonder if your home security package offers that. Fry people to a fucking crisp. This level's so unforgiving that if you fall down a hole, it sends you back to the beginning. You know how much I love that shit?
You certainly do.
The game's so bad, they give you an option to quit. Oh, and anytime you want to see your health status, which are Zelda hearts, you have to pause the game. What the shit? That would be like driving a car, and anytime you want to see how much gas you have to pull over and turn off the engine. Another crate. I'm just gonna push it over here. Whoa, did you see what happened? The crate just said, no. It doesn't even feel like playing a game. It feels like you're just pushing buttons and hoping something happens. You have to trick it into being functional. The next section sends you down a bunch of slides. This is where the torture really begins. You're sliding down, down into hell. You're going through a maze of ductwork, avoiding steam and electrical charges. Just try not to die. Just try. On top of the death traps, you have to navigate in a certain order, flipping switches to turn off fans that block your way. Not to mention, it was released by Sony ImageSoft, the publishers of Dragon's Lair on NES. So it makes perfect sense that everything should be weird and cryptic. I mean, look at this part here. You have to make it all the way around a loop just to get up here so you can hit a switch. But you have to hit that switch on your way down, or else you need to do the loop all over again. Plus, it's timed, so you have to run past the fan real fast. But if you run real fast, you get killed by the steam. Fuck!
Just 2 more minutes. I was so close.
Fuck! Ah! Oh, your mother. Ah, fuck!
This is how I go out. Like a hunk of frozen Play-Doh. like a...
Finally, I made it to the next part. Just gonna hop off this crate, grab the wire. Fuck! Back to the beginning! Ah! Finally, I reached the end of Stage 1, and may I emphasize, Stage 1. I steal the first item, Da Vinci's horse sculpture, the Sforza, which in real life was never completed, only a clay model was made, which was destroyed. If only the same could have happened to this game.
Shit, pickle.
You know, since you're here, I've been meaning to ask you this for the longest time, but how'd this shit get on your head? Were you shat on? Were you up somebody's butt? Were you dipped in shit that's already been shat? Or have you always existed that way and there's no fecal origin?
Shit! Pickle, 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 shit, 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 pickle, 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 shit, pickle, shit, pickle, 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 shit, 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 pickle.
Wow. Not what I expected at all, but thanks for sharing that. Well, there you have it. In Stage 2, your mission is to rob the Vatican.
Robbing a freaking Vatican.
Yeah, I bet you didn't know that underneath the Vatican, there's a network of sewers with floating brown orbs, steam traps, and spears that go up your ass. These sewers are patrolled by nuns that don't fuck around. They're pushing around these old-time cannons that will blast you to oblivion. So, they have cannons, but all I get is a baseball? That's real fair. Oh, wait. I can punch? All this time I could punch? Tapping B throws the baseball, but if you hold B, it punches. Well, I suppose there's lots of ways that could have been programmed. You could have hit select to switch back and forth, or hold up while hitting B to throw the ball. But damn, holding B would have never been my first instinct to jab an enemy. Not to mention we're punching nuns in the fucking face. Next, we're on top of the Vatican, which actually happens in the movie. Now, if only they included the part where the TV antenna gets damaged while the Pope is trying to watch Mr. Ed. Yeah, Mr. Ed. Now that's a fucking trip. And now the nuns are dropping the bombs from parachutes. Man, these nuns are out of control. And just in case you make it inside the Vatican, they're ready for you, because the floor is equipped with electrical traps. Man, there's a lot of electricity in this game. In the movie, I can only think of one instance where he gets zapped.
The fuck is the matter with you?
By the end of the stage, it does follow the movie closely, where he steals what they call Da Vinci's sketchbook, the Codex. And if you really care, it's not based on any specific manuscript of Da Vinci's, even though they include an image of the Vitruvian Man. It's just mashed together, made-up movie shit. The third stage, they don't even bother, because in the movie, it's what they call Da Vinci's helicopter, based on his conceptual design of the aerial screw. But the game just says fuck it and makes it the mirrored crystal. But the movie ends with them sailing on an ancient flying machine, I guess built by Da Vinci, but it comes out of nowhere. I'm surprised they didn't have a flying stage in the game. Instead, you're hopping around on disappearing platforms. Honestly, I can't tell if it's a glitch or not. Next thing, you're trying to climb across a rope, but there's a sloth in the way. At least I think it's a sloth. It's anybody's guess what that thing is supposed to be. Are there any sloths in the movie? I don't think so, but I wish there was, because wouldn't that be great to see Bruce Willis yelling at a sloth?
A little more, Jumbo? Kick your big flabby ass!
But in case you can't tell already, we are heading deep into the territory of remember that from the movie? Because there's guys throwing guitars and TVs, guys hanging from balloons, tennis players on the roof. Why are they playing tennis on the roof? And what, there's kangaroos now? And giant mice? How did this amalgamation of characters come to be? Did they just grab a bunch of athletes, circus performers, zoo animals, and lab experiments? Every enemy on this stage could have come from a different game. Up till this point, it sort of followed the movie, but now they just gave up. In fact, level 3 is the last stage.
No way!
Wow. Only 3 levels. Even Karate Kid had 4. Did they run out of ideas? Did the deadline approach and they had to just shit it out? Or could it be that 3 levels is all the movie had to offer? Well, that's one way to do it. If it gets to the point where you're adding kangaroos and shit, you might as well just end it there. Even if it was a really good movie like The Breakfast Club, how would that work as a game? Level 1, you're sitting in detention. Level 2, you're sitting in detention. Level 3, you're sneaking around the school. Write the letter, the end. So maybe you can say that what they've done with Hudson Hawk is commendable. They didn't stretch it out into 10 levels and fill it with all kinds of bullshit. No, this is a 3-level movie, so it's going to be a 3-level game. Done. Ingenious. The final boss, if you'd call it a boss, is the crystal-powered gold-making machine from the film. It's that certain type of boss that doesn't really fight back. You might as well be fighting a washing machine. All you do is go around the room, hit all the switches, then grab the crystal, and it's over. Congratulations, Hawk. The gold machine has been totally destroyed, together with the alchemy project. You may have saved the economic fate of the whole world. Wow. You may have saved it. It's not 100% confirmed, but we think you've won. Imagine if you beat Contra and it said, congratulations, you've possibly destroyed the vile Red Falcon and maybe saved the universe. You can consider yourself a hero, though it's debatable. Well, this is the part of the episode where I give a final judgment on this game. I go off on a big epic rant and tell you all the things I'd rather do and all the different types of feces that come out of different animal anuses. But instead, I'm going to look on the positive side. Yeah, just for once, because there has to be something good about this game. Well, it functions. It didn't freeze. It follows the movie somewhat. It only has 3 levels. It has a pause button. It doesn't have high-pitched shrieking music that makes you want to rip your brain through your ears. It's not The Last Ninja. It's not made by LJN. It may be shit, but it's not actual shit. I think that's a good thing. You can't die from it. Probably not. It doesn't give off any odors. It tastes like nothing compared to the liquid ass of a gasoline-guzzling gorilla, nor is it as repulsive as a hagfish, which can produce gallons of snot on cue to choke its predators. It doesn't completely suck so bad that it'll make you rip your balls off and shove them in your eye sockets. It's not the goddamn motherfucking apocalypse. It's just a game. But the best thing about this game is that it's easily destructible. Well, the movie has a happy ending. Eddie Hawkins finally gets to have his cappuccino. Looks like they could have used that shot in a Folgers commercial.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
As for me, I'm finally gonna have my beer. Cheers.
20 years ago, I said this game sucks, and then launched into a tirade dissecting all the things that were wrong with Castlevania 2: Simon's Quest. Because I'm the nerd, and my mission is to warn you that lots of those old games that you look back at with sentimental longing are actually steaming piles of goat shit. Don't go near them. The thing is, at the time, I didn't know who I was talking to. It was the summer of 2004, and YouTube didn't exist yet, so I was pretty much ranting into the thin air of sorrow that lingered over my stale room of dusty game consoles and VHS tapes. In my closet, underneath a pile of socks and underwear, was a shoebox full of old NES games, and there it was, Simon's Quest. Like a call to action, I became somebody you now know as the fucking nerd. Back then, I wasn't yet the angry video game nerd. I wasn't even the angry Nintendo nerd. Episode 1, I didn't have a name or a face. I was just a voice. Just a voice in your head telling you to stay away from this filth. Was I even wearing my white shirt when I spoke those words? No, to tell you the truth, it was hot, so I wasn't wearing anything. Just kidding. So for this occasion, I'm going back to my roots when I was only a voice. Simon's Quest was released in North America in December '88. Using some Christmas money, I bought it from Toys R Us. I played it constantly, and at the time, I noticed nothing wrong. Even though I was endlessly traveling in circles, it didn't matter to me, because I was stupid. No, it was because it was a time of innocence. It was 1989, most likely, when I first played it, so by the time I reviewed it, about 15 years had passed. While publicly, 2004 is known as the beginning of the Nerds era, for me personally, it was the end of the Neolithic nostalgia age, leaving behind my childhood in a spiteful fart cloud of frustration. It was like coming out of a hangover and then realizing how much you drank the night before. Oh, those nights. It all seems like fun and games. Your judgment's impaired, you're making merry, but afterwards, your head is pounding with humiliating defeat as you begin assessing all the damage you caused to yourself. Honestly, with how many bad games there are, it's hard to imagine why Simon's Quest was the first one I picked. You all know what I picked next. That one where I had to drink a six-pack of Rolling Rock and show you my face on camera for the first time, and after I revisited it so many times, I finally beat the game with the help of my future self. I exorcised that demon, so let's move on. This time, I actually want to talk about something a little more positive. If episode 1 was a coin, this is the flip side. If I thought Simon's Quest was the worst Castlevania game, well then, what's the best? Yes, I already answered that in my Castlevania 4-part episode in 2009. I said my favorite was Super Castlevania 4, but the question now is, do I still believe that? Are any of the challengers able to claim the throne? Well, first of all, I'm talking about the retro era of Castlevania games on the main consoles. In the 4-parter, I mentioned most of them. Some would consider Castlevania 3 to be better than 4 because of the multiple characters, the forking paths, or maybe just because it came before. Those are all valid reasons, and it's totally legit if you're more of a Castlevania 3 kind of person. I replayed it, and I still have to say I favor 4. The 16-bit graphics and sound are more effective for immersing you into the spooky atmosphere. The control is so much smoother, and not to mention, you can whip in all directions. And it's not as ruthless with so much of that knockback bullshit. Some would say knockback is what makes it challenging. I say that's what makes it cheap. I mentioned Bloodlines. This would be the Sega Genesis's answer to the Super Nintendo and Konami's tradition of always making two separate versions during the 16-bit war. I can't ignore that Bloodlines gives you the choice of two different characters, and there's some very interesting level design, but in my opinion, it's not as interesting as the spinning room and all the things that happen in 4. In Bloodlines, you can't whip in all directions, and this time I don't see why not, if they would have taken one note from 4. Sure, you can whip down and also diagonally up, but only while you're jumping. In 4, you can do it from the ground. I could go down the list and say the sound effects and music aren't as good, this and that, but the whipping alone is enough to settle it for me. Once again, I stand by what I said in the old video. Bloodlines is a great game, but it's not as good as 4, for me personally. Now, it's time to talk about the one I missed entirely, Castlevania Chronicles. And it was on PlayStation, so I have no idea how I was completely oblivious to this game's existence. Perhaps I confused it with Castlevania the Dracula X Chronicles, which was the PSP version of Rondo of Blood with updated graphics. It also included the original version of Rondo of Blood and Symphony of the Night. But anyway, the Castlevania Chronicles was originally released in 1993 on the Sharp X68000 computer, exclusively in Japan, so it's no wonder I didn't know about it back then, but it was re-released on PlayStation in 2001, which is the version you're seeing right now. It's essentially a remake of the original Castlevania with redesigned stages. I beat it in less than 3 hours, so it's a nice confined experience, but I'm not gonna lie, I played it on the easiest difficulty setting possible. If I were critiquing the original release, I would probably say it's way too fucking hard, but in the PlayStation version, there's 2 modes, original and arranged. Arranged mode has some slight enhancements with graphics and sound, but most notably, it lets you adjust the difficulty and doesn't have the knockback. Now, if you want the knockback, if you're a gaming masochist and love the insane challenge, then you still have the option, and I tip my hat to you. To me, fair difficulty is very important. I don't want it too easy, but not too hard either. For me, Castlevania 4 is balanced perfectly. Chronicles isn't that remarkable since it's pretty much a remake of the first game, and while 4 is also kind of a remake in a sense as it's basically retelling the events of the first game, it offers a lot of new stages that bear no resemblance and is much more original than Chronicles. Again, Chronicles doesn't have the 8-directional whipping, it's more like Bloodlines. You can whip diagonally while jumping, but in Bloodlines it's diagonally upward. Here, it's downward. Pretty strange how they got parts of the controls right, but they just couldn't give us the whole damn thing. Not as good as 4, but it's a great game. It gives you that old school basic Castlevania experience, and it's nice to have finally played it after all those years of being oblivious. The search for the true successor to Castlevania 4 led me down an uncertain road. In my 4-parter, I talked about Castlevania Dracula X on Super Nintendo. I talked about how the whipping was a step back to the NES style, and the difficulty was rather sadistic, especially that final battle with Dracula. I lightly brushed upon the fact that this was a remake of Rondo of Blood, which was on the PC engine in Japan, but did I actually review Rondo of Blood and include it as part of my Castlevania marathon? No, I didn't. And that was a fucking shame. Ever since the PSP, there's been many ports of this game, so it's not as elusive as it once was. I finally played it all the way through on the PS4 and got 100% completion for the first time, and now I can see that Dracula X was definitely not a direct port in any way. Sure, there were some similarities, but Rondo of Blood is a very different game that, quite frankly, blows Dracula X to smithereens. The graphics and sound effects give you everything you want, the music delivers even more tracks that rank up with the most classic Castlevania tunes, and the natural feel and satisfaction of destroying enemies could never be better. Right from that opening stage, you're whipping skeletons against a fiery background before you realize, hey, that's the first town from Simon's Quest. It's like burning down the memory of a shitty game with a kick-ass game. All around, it reminds you of the other classic Castlevanias. You have a dungeon, a clock tower, even a ghost ship, and amazing boss characters, both new and old. The enemies might be a little strange. Am I seeing this? The bats are carrying swords! There's a secret character you can find, Maria. Once you find her, she becomes playable. It's a lot like Castlevania 3, where other characters join, but unfortunately you can't switch between Richter and Maria on the fly. You have to choose one or the other on the menu, which is kind of disappointing. Maria is a very powerful character, and I find myself playing as her just as much or maybe more than Richter, but man, what a bizarre character, totally out of place with the franchise. I mean, she's going around throwing cats as one of her sub-weapons. And yes, you can explain that 4 of her 6 sub-weapons are based on the 4 guardians of Chinese mythology, as if that makes throwing cats look totally normal. There's also a bunch of prisoners you can find, which are more or less Easter eggs, but none of them are playable characters.
Thank you very much, Maria.
It's nice that it gives you save slots, so unlike the earlier games, you can keep your progress. Also, if you accidentally get a sub-weapon that you don't want, you still have a chance to pick up your old one again. That's really nice of them. The earlier games would have just said, fuck you, you're stuck with it. On the other hand, the whipping is a major downgrade, even from Bloodlines and Chronicles, because now you can't even whip diagonally at all. What's the deal with that? The pause feature is a little bit dysfunctional because the music keeps playing. I don't understand the reasoning. The whole point is to pause everything. Your mom calls you or your dog starts barking at something. You want to stop and hear what's going on. So you got to pause, put down the controller, pick up the remote control, and hit mute. What were they thinking? So this is the first Castlevania game on a CD, so the sound capabilities are a major advancement. But this also gives it a field day to incorporate a lot of really weird voice acting.
Who are you, mister?
I am Richter Belmont, vampire hunter.
You proved amusing to me.
It's your fault for being so mean to everyone.
This is also the first in the series where the anime aesthetic is so prevalent. While made in Japan, I always assumed that the earlier games were going more for a Bram Stoker, Hammer Films influence, so it definitely strayed from that.
Oh, it's crumbling! Everyone, run for it!
Look at Maria's ending. If you would have shown me that screenshot, I would have never guessed that's a Castlevania game. The question remains, is it as good as Castlevania 4? Well, it's gotta be close, right? It's linear for the most part, it's old school, how I like it. The advancements such as the save slots, the opportunity to keep your old items, the secondary character, should all give it the added bonus points to overtake 4. But the stiff, horizontally restricted whip is a major setback, and for this reason alone, I do not like it as much. But there's a whole other factor that threw my decision into further question. Something so perplexing that it nearly turned my opinion into a never-ending stalemate. Nearly half the game is hidden. I thought it was kind of short until I realized there's all these secret levels I didn't know about. And when I say secret, I mean secret. It's not like in Castlevania 3 where you come to a forking path and decide which way you want to go. This is more like the cryptic bullshit you'd find in Castlevania 2. You might have to break through a random wall or hit a certain spiked ball so that it falls and opens the path below, or you might have to kill a certain enemy to reveal a switch that opens a staircase, or most of the time you have to take a leap of faith and drop down a pit that would normally send you to your doom. How would you ever know to do that without looking it up? You would either have to fall by accident or deliberately drop down every pit you see. And here I am trying to evaluate whether or not I think Rondo of Blood is as good as 4, and I nearly miss half the game because I didn't know about all the hidden paths. I have never been more confused with my own opinion. On one hand, this means it's a much bigger game than I was going to give it credit for. It even has a cemetery stage, which I said I wished the series had more of. But on the other hand, the game is like one big giant Easter egg hunt. This is the reason I criticize Castlevania 2 so much. So what am I trying to say here? Is Rondo of Blood the best or worst? It has all the things about Castlevania that I love and hate. And if you have such a great game in there, why keep so much of it hidden? The final nail in the coffin is all the sadistic knockback shit, which is just plain cruel. Fuck. Nope. Castlevania 4 all the way. So, while it seems that's the end of the road, that 4 is my undefeatable champion, Symphony of the Night, I think, is worth a rematch. Just to recap things I've said before, this is the first Castlevania that said, hey, you know what? We're going to be like Metroid from now on, except for the occasional 3D. And you'll be going through Dracula's gigantic castle for the entire duration of the game. No outdoor scenes, or very little. I mentioned how every time you die, you have to endure an excruciatingly long game over screen, only to send you back to the main title and load the game all over again. Fuck that. I mentioned how I preferred the common sense challenge of 4. There's no tricks, you can't turn into a bat and fly over shit, you never have to think, which way am I supposed to go here? Which item should I use? Am I equipped properly? Should I grind and level up? None of that. You just run through and play. In Symphony of the Night, the main character is Alucard, who mainly uses a sword, so the 8-directional whipping isn't even applicable at this point. You only play as Richter in the very first scene, and as sort of a bonus after you've beaten the entire game. In fact, you even have to beat the damn game upside down before you get that far. But after so many years have passed, I found the real secret to enjoying the fuck out of Symphony of the Night. I say, beat the game, unlock Richter, and then take a break. Take a good long break and come back. Now, you're playing Castlevania. First of all, I wasn't aware or had forgotten that Richter had so many moves that aren't immediately apparent. It still bugs me that they never brought back the 8-directional whipping, but for some reason they still included that limp twirl or whatever you want to call that. But with all the new moves, it kind of makes up for it. Richter here is just as much fun to control as Simon. First, there's that cool little backflip thing, and then there's the sliding kick. Man, I love that. I love it so much, it has become an addiction. I mean, why just walk into the next room when you can slide kick? Yeah, it never gets old. Then there's the dash attack, which is kind of neat whenever you have time to pull it off. You have to press up, down, down, forward, forward, attack. What is this? Fucking Street Fighter? Down, up, jump makes you do an uppercut, which is not just a great attack, but it also serves as an infinite jump to reach higher places. Unfortunately, it's extremely awkward to pull off. Any move that makes you hit down, up while you're in midair is fucked as hell. And I think there's a certain speed to it. You can't hit it too fast or too slow. I don't get it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you absolutely have to do it, a lot, because it's the only way you can reach certain spots, especially when the castle goes upside down again. Yes, it's like replaying the entire game, so all those spots with Alucard where you had to turn into a bat and fly, now you have to uppercut into the air over and over like a madman. You still have your sub-weapons, but unlike Alucard, Richter doesn't have any items to equip. No inventory whatsoever. But after all, that is basically what I wanted, to return to Castlevania's simpler roots, as opposed to a more complicated RPG system. Playing as Richter is an entirely different experience, and is like a mandatory second half of Symphony of the Night. And in the Saturn and PS4 port, you can also play as Maria. Damn, well maybe I'll have to try more of that next time, but after fully experiencing it as Richter, I can say, I definitely enjoyed it a whole lot more than the main Alucard game. Did I enjoy it as much as 4? In a lot of ways, yeah, I think so. This past playthrough was the closest I ever came to replacing 4 as my #1 favorite Castlevania game. All they had to do was this: make Richter the main game, and then have Alucard be the second half or as a secondary character. In that case, I would have found this contest to be a lot easier to decide. But even then, all the ungodly time spent reloading whenever you die is a major strike against it. Sometimes, it comes down to the simplest things. In 4, I can never forget that feeling of gratification when you land on a stairway and moonwalk, or when you latch onto something with the whip and feel that momentum build as you swing yourself back and forth. How about the appealing sound of those golden platforms and treasure chests spilling coins as you walk across them? Or the sound of the bones collapsing when you hit the skeletons? It's countless little things like that. And why is the 8-directional whipping so important? It's because it gives you the feeling of freedom. When you engage with an enemy, you can decide whether you want to strike from the air or hit him from below. Your instincts take over, rather than trying to adapt to some clumsy limitation. Maybe this game spoiled me, and maybe you'd say the full whip directions make it too easy. How does the whip save you from all that crazy shit near the end, like when the giant sprocket's chasing you up the stage? It still gets pretty damn hard. The full whip controls just give you a fair chance to hit anything on the screen. You and the game are in perfect competition. No cheap shots. You're not fighting with one hand behind your back. You're in full control, so when you die, it's on you. Some things stay the same, and Castlevania 4 is still my favorite. And other things vary, such as my complex thoughts about Castlevania 2. Even though it pissed me off, I was still able to look back at it again and realize there's much I appreciate. So I can change my mind a little, but one thing I can say, if it wasn't for Simon's Quest, you might not have ever known about me, and I might not have ever known about you. Why else would I still be doing this? This battle against shitty games has been quite a ride, and all the memories created since, to me, have gone far beyond just Castlevania. This has been 20 years and counting, so Godspeed and fuckballs.
Hey, remember when the first PlayStation came out? Remember when they needed some new hip mascot to take on Mario? Well, that's where Crash Bandicoot came in. Now, while he was never the official mascot, he definitely made a mark. Since the first Crash Bandicoot game was released, 30 years ago if you can believe, he's been all over magazine covers and commercials. Before the Geico Gecko, or the Caveman for that matter, there was a guy in a Crash Bandicoot costume heckling Nintendo outside their corporate offices with a megaphone.
Mustache Man, your worst nightmare has arrived.
Pack up your stuff!
What an asshole. Sony and the team from Naughty Dog worked together on the design of the character, and the mission was the same as Sonic, Gex, Bubsy, and all the rest. Beat Mario with an edgy character. I mean, Mario didn't have a floating witch doctor head guiding him around. And the past 30 years, there's been a shitload of these games. Trying to figure out which ones are good and which ones suck is going to be like walking blindfolded and barefoot through a room splattered with alternating piles of jello and dog shit. Since I've never dove into Crash Bandicoot games before, I'm going to need some guidance from somebody who's experienced in this topic. Alright, we're back. Time to start the review. Now...
Sponsor? Money? That's something that I like. Who's the sponsor?
You're a little late.
Okay, cool, I'm out.
As you can see, it's trying to be cutting edge with its 3D visuals, and for the most part, it plays pretty well. Your main method of attack is spinning, so I guess because a Bandicoot is an animal that's native to Australia, they're probably thinking it's like those Tasmanian devils, because those things are always spinning, right? Yeah, you ever go to Australia? You ever see the animals spinning around? Kangaroos and koala bears are always spinning! No, I guess they just saw the Tasmanian devil cartoons and copied that. Marsupials see, marsupial do. That's the most awkward thing I've ever said. Okay, so the penguins in Crash Bandicoot 2 spin. So are the penguins Australian now? Hey, Australian guy.
Yes?
You're Australian, right?
Yes, I am.
Let me ask you, do the animals in Australia spin?
Yes.
Do the toilets spin the wrong way?
I don't know. I don't usually make a habit of watching it leave after I'm done.
I've seen dogs spin around before they sit down, so if any character should spin, it should be Beethoven on Super Nintendo. That game would be vastly improved if Beethoven could spin. Most of this game is alright, but it sucks whenever you have to run toward the camera, like this boulder scene right out of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Cool idea, but you can't see what you're running into and have no time to react. Ah! At least Indy could see what was in front of him. Imagine how differently that scene would play if he was blindly ramming into shit. In some areas, they have you riding a hog. Maybe this was Sony's response to the rhino friend Rambi in Donkey Kong Country. Or even Yoshi, honestly. But the weird thing is, before he mounts the hog, Crash looks at the camera and makes this creepy face. Like, yeah, I'm gonna ride that fucking hog. What's his deal? By the way, jumping sucks. You have to be so precise that most of the time you're gonna be watching your shadow instead of the actual character. If I wanted to watch a little black circle move across the screen all day, I'd watch a hockey game.
Oh, and this bridge stage really fucking sucks. I mean, every misstep causes Crash to fall to his doom. Fuck!
But now, let's get to the real shit. The save system. And by that, I mean there is no system. Take a guess how to save. Take a wild guess. Would you just bring up the menu and hit save? No, that would be too easy. Do you have to find a save point? No, too cliche. Does it autosave after you complete the level? No, don't be ridiculous.
Of course not, don't be ridiculous.
But thankfully, there are multiple ways you can save in this game. Here they are. A. Collect 3 symbols which activate a bonus area, and if you complete that bonus area without dying, it'll save. B. Go back and refight a boss in which you might die anyway. And C. Get full completion on a level without dying once and find every single hidden item. The problem with option C is that certain boxes don't show up until you've found these colored gems. It's kind of like Super Mario World, you know, with the colored switches that make certain blocks appear. But even worse, these gems don't start showing up until stage 10. I mean, just to find them, you'd have to shell out 20 extra bucks on a strategy guide. Now that's a real shitty thing to have to do. In short, it's probably the worst save system I've ever seen. Even worse than Gex. I'm not saying it has to save every single step you take. I mean, setting you back a little is fine and dandy. But this miserable fuck heap takes it to the absolute extreme. One time I was on stage 12, and I got sent all the way back to stage 6.
Oh, fuck.
That's worse than Ninja Gaiden. You can't even re-enter a stage to farm extra lives, because they disappear from the crates once you get them. So your only other options are A. Kill 100 bats, which takes forever. B. Pull off a precisely timed spin jump onto a turtle, which is more likely to kill you. And C. Go fuck yourself. Overall, this isn't the worst game I've ever played, by any stretch. The graphics are nice, and the majority of the levels are fun to play, but no proper save? Come on. And by the way, the name of the witch doctor head following you around is Aku Aku, and since he's a main character throughout the series, I guess I'm gonna have to get used to that guy.
Man, if only I had a floating head to help guide me through these games.
Hello, I'm Wanku Wanku, the mascot of the British Museum. Do you want to see some stolen Egyptian hair?
What's the C stand for?
That is none of your goddamn business.
Okay. Alright, look, I could use some help. Which Crash game should I play next? Should I just do 2?
Crash 2 is classic shit. Great movement, great music, and the greatest final boss fight of all time. But I don't know what you're looking for. Don't put this pressure on me. What if I'm wrong and you shout at me? I'm very sensitive.
Okay, should I skip the 3?
That's my favorite one. It's actually the first video game I ever played. I'm younger than you. So give that one a go. You might like it. Or you won't. Whatever. I don't care.
Well, unless they're bad, I think I'm gonna move on. How's Crash Team Racing?
Have you played Mario Kart?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's the same idea. You put a load of abused animals in cars and send them around a track without any driving licenses, like the circus. But unlike earlier Mario Kart, it's way more aggressive and chaotic, and it had the jump drifting and triple turbo boost system, which takes it from a rip-off to a rip-on. It's got a story mode with shit to collect, it's got missiles, it's got eyebrows. Basically, it's great, so I don't think you'll want to play it. Why not? What do you want? Who are you?
Okay. Well, on that note, I'm gonna play Crash Bash. Is that a fine choice?
A fine choice for something good or something shit? Are you looking for something bad? Oh my god, put it in, play it, now, go, do it.
You win.
So, Crash Bash continues to rip off Nintendo, and this time it's a clone of Mario Party. It's basically a bunch of mini-games featuring an all-star lineup of Crash characters, but wait, who's Rilla-Roo? I don't remember a gorilla, kangaroo, mutant hybrid wearing pants in any of the other games.
Alright, so I get the idea. It's a bunch of shitty mini-games. What's next?
Well, that was the first game not developed by Naughty Dog. They moved on to greener pastures.
And I moved on to greener beers. Cheers. Ah! What the fuck?
I don't like beer.
Then have some tea.
Oh, what? Because I'm British?
You want it or not?
Yes.
Ah!
I don't like tea.
Okay, what game are we playing? How about Wrath of Cortex?
If you want.
Some guide you are.
Okay, Wrath of Cortex on PS2. So the main villain, Dr. Neo Cortex, has made a clone of Crash named Crunch the Super Bandicoot. You know he's tough because he has a metal arm, is triple Crash's size, and has the word super in his name. Thanks to these elemental masks he wears, he just sort of becomes generic bosses like the Water Boss, Fire Boss, and Wind Boss. That's it. The Water Boss has you memorizing patterns, jump over this, duck under that, but if you mess up even once, then you die and have to redo the entire fight. The Fire Boss, same shit, but he's got the added bonus of shitting out tiny lava rocks that roll into you, and each of those can kill you in one hit. Unless by some miracle you avoid all these obstacles, these boss fights require you to play over and over again just to learn the patterns. They aren't even that complicated. It's just that everything kills Crash in one hit, so one fuck-up means the end of a run. Okay, so other than the boss battles, it's a pretty generic Crash game that sticks to the basic formula for the most part.
Well, I guess you can say these games have become somewhat of a cash grab.
Hi. Guess who I am? I'm Cash Bandy Loot.
Oh, that's clever. I guess I'm gonna play Crash Twin Sanity.
Throw us a quid, mate.
Okay, Crash Twin Sanity. Oh boy. This is just like those Ren and Stimpy and Beavis and Butthead games where you beat your opponents to death with your friend. Yeah, just like how Stimpy uses Ren to bludgeon enemies to death, Crash uses Dr. Cortex to do the same damn thing. Wait, Crash and his mortal enemy, the evil scientist that created him, mind you, are friends now?
Trust me, we're pals, right?
Crash does use Cortex as a hammer on a surfboard and can throw him over gaps to hit switches, so I guess it's an abusive relationship at best.
Ah! Not the beast!
Well, at least Cortex can dish out some damage of his own to Crash. By spanking him? Huh?
Well, I need some real shit to sink my teeth into. So how about Crash the Titans? Get it? Crash the Titans?
Boo bee. Boo. Boo 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 boo. Boo.
Gotta break out the Wii. You know, the Wii turns 20 this year. Isn't that crazy? The Wii is almost old enough to drink.
Boo beep beep boo. Boo boo bee boo. Boo bee boo boo. Boo bee. Boo bee.
Wait, you're saying the Wii is already old enough to drink?
Ah, fuck! Oh, now I gotta find some batteries for the Wiimote. Good thing I have die-hard batteries. Yippee double A, motherfucker! Crash of the Titans is one of those sequels that only gets made because some fucker owns an IP and doesn't want to lose the rights. I mean, I can't think of any other reason why this game had to be Crash Bandicoot themed. It barely feels like a Crash game. Sure, you can play as the titular character, but you wouldn't even recognize the other characters because they're all redesigned. I mean, look what they did with Tiny Tiger. That hovering almond dripped in shit is actually supposed to be Aku Aku. I mean, did they keep anything from the original design? Besides the feathers? Not to mention, Crash is speaking in complete gibberish. He's made the full transformation into the Tasmanian Devil. But actually, no. He doesn't have the spin attack anymore. Well, he does acquire the spin later, but that would be like if Mario couldn't jump until he got the jump ability. Or if you're playing a Castlevania game with no whip. Oh, wait, that actually happened. And it worked somehow. Either way, turning a character's signature move into something you have to unlock is straight up sacrilegious. What were they thinking? You unlock new abilities by collecting blue gems called Mojo. So, by having to power up Crash's abilities, we can all assume that at some point, Crash lost his mojo.
Crikey! I've lost my mojo!
Instead of focusing on challenging platforming like the previous games, Crash the Titans decide to go all in on never-ending button-mashing battles against wave after wave of enemies. And look, I get trying something different every once in a while, so that doesn't get stale. But when 2 out of the last 3 games in the series were spin-off kart racers with middling reviews, you'd think they'd make sure to go back to basics, right? No, we had to wait 13 years for that. The game's big gimmick is that Crash can mount the larger monsters and use them as his bitch in combat. But that sounds so fucking wrong, doesn't it? But get this, they call it jacking. Jacking! I'm not making this up. You jack the monster. What the fuck is that supposed to mean? Is it like hijacking a car? I mean, okay, I sorta get it. But you'd think they'd call it something better than jacking. That's such low-hanging fruit. I don't even know what to do with it. You're pretty much forced to do this every single battle. It's easier said than done. You have to stun the monsters by making their star meters go up. Seems simple, but half the time they block your attack. And they keep recovering stars. And then they kick your ass. Most of my attacks don't do diddly dick against these guys, so you have to charge your attack by holding the button, but 9 times out of 10 that leaves you open to get hit. These enemies are not just gonna stand there and let you charge up. No fucking way. They just rip Crash a new asshole. Fuck! When you finally do manage to jack one of these motherfuckers, it can feel like the ultimate power trip. Now you're the one in control. You gain access to all the monster's abilities and do things like this. And this. Oh, and how about this? It's admittedly a lot of fun. At first. Who wouldn't like riding a giant elephant that can not only destroy every obstacle in your way, but can also blow fire out its trunk? Or look at this giant skunk dude. He's literally throwing his farts. Throwing his farts! Gotta love that. But once you've jacked your 90th palette-swapped werewolf, the idea of jacking another creature loses a lot of its appeal. It also just sounds plain rude. What's this? I'm in a bathroom? There's a monster in the stall? I mean, should I even fight him, or just leave him alone and let him do his business? Would this be a time for jacking? Since it's the Wii version, of course they had to make some of Crash's moves require motion controls, like this spinning propeller move that allows you to hover over wide gaps. To spin, they want you to shake the Wiimote. Yeah, shake that Wii! Or you can just hit A. So there's no fucking point to using the Wiimote. I mean, you want to play with your Wii? Be my guest. Yeah, so the motion controls are optional. What's the deal with the nunchuck anyway? How about just have a regular controller? Only Nintendo could get away with this shit. Is there a motion control for the jacking? You can only imagine. But no, just use the button commands. However, once you've jacked a monster, their abilities almost exclusively require motion controls. So now they're required, and if you don't use them, you instantly get your ass kicked. You can even use the Wiimote to collect mojo just by pointing at it. Super Mario Galaxy did the same thing later that year, so I have to wonder, who had the idea first? Now, sucking up all the mojo makes it super easy to get any of them that are out of reach. I mean, with just one flick of your wrist, you can get them all. It's so easy now, it pretty much breaks the game. Yeah, now I'm playing with power. Wiimote Mojo Power. You know, you want to make it even easier? Keep jacking monsters and sucking up mojo. You'll be learning abilities in no time. You're also going to get major carpal tunnel syndrome. Basically, you can really cheat the system in this game. And I'm not even talking about grinding. You can do that too, but now you feel like the kid at the bowling party who just runs up the lane and smashes all the pins down. So there's a kick move called the Norris Roundhouse. Now, of course, it's a reference to the late Chuck Norris. Rest in peace. But let's talk about that spin move again. Now, for the most part, I found it pretty useless. You gotta spin the stick on the nunchuck repeatedly while tapping the C button, and then if you do it for too long, you get dizzy and can't move for a few seconds. I mean, what the hell? But once you've leveled up enough, you can spin indefinitely. So now, all of a sudden, it's the best move in the game. Well, that is until you realize the bigger monsters still block the spin. And since you have to keep rotating the stick till your thumb goes raw, I'd say forget about it. It's ass.
Alright, one more game. This one's gonna be on Game Boy Advance. Purple Ripto's Rampage. Yeah, and this one is, apparently it's a crossover with Spyro the Dragon. It's a sad state of affairs when both franchises can take a crossfire shit into the same toilet.
Huh, yeah. Crossovers really suck, don't they?
You know, I've had it up to my ass with this shit. Crash Bandicoot's Purple Ripto's Rampage on Game Boy Advance. When will this end? What crocodile's ass did these games crawl out of? Okay, well, you have the spin attack already. Well, maybe this game will be alright. Or not. After a pretty lackluster platforming section, you're riding a polar bear, which is just a 2D version of a stage from Crash 2. Okay, now I'm blowing up sheep with a bazooka? I'm not sure what this has to do with Crash Bandicoot, but sure, why not? Eat this! Ba ba black sheep, have you any rocket to the face? Okay, maybe this is awesome. Wait, I jinxed it again. You heard of tank controls? Well, here's tank controls. In a tank! These controls suck fucking monkey fuck. And besides, it has nothing to do with Crash Bandicoot. I'm sorry. I already complained so much, I take it all back. This is the real bullshit. Oh my god, it's getting worse. Now I'm in a Christmas ball with robotic legs, but I'm controlling a helicopter? Why not just have the helicopter? Do I have to control Crash, controlling a robot, controlling a helicopter? Do you think that's a little excessive? What's this shitload of fuck? I'm riding a lazy river? Except there's nothing lazy about it other than the lazy game design. And when our star heroes finally meet, do they embrace in a hug? No. They start throwing Molotov cocktails at each other. Yeah, that'll get the job done. Also, this game's rated E for everyone. Hey kids, ever heard of Molotov cocktails? Well, you have now. You're welcome. Oh, and now it's just Arkanoid, basically? They just repackaged old shit. They fucking shat into a sack of shit. And then it sat until it got nasty as ass. And then they stuffed that fuck into another sack of shit and sat it on top of a putrid pile of piss packages. Diuretic rivulets running off the tip of the turd. They stacked another sack of ass on top of the already shitty shit pile of shit sacks. And next thing you know, you got a steaming pile of shit sacks stacked up. And I didn't even know they stacked shit that high. Fuck this game.
Is the review done?
Yeah, it's done.
Okay, bye.
Wait. You're just gonna go like that? Huh. Well, that's an abrupt way to end.
Dark clouds, lightning, ominous organ music. And then, ready for it? Final Fantasy III. When you saw this fiery font emerging from your CRT TV, burning across the room to your flannel couch, and heard those epic chords ringing out across the wallpapered walls of your wood-furnished living room, littered with fruit roll-up wrappers and Sunday newspaper comics, you knew you were about to play a Super Nintendo game that was truly super and unlike anything that came before. Right away, you're told of an ancient war that reduced the world to a scorched wasteland, and magic simply ceased to exist. Now, machine energy is on the rise. But there are some who would enslave the world by reviving the dread destructive force known as magic. Can it be that those in power are on the verge of repeating a senseless and deadly mistake? Now that's taking video game storytelling to a new level. Kinda goes above and beyond Go Rescue the Princess or some shit. The main story opens on a snowy peak. We're introduced to two soldiers of an empire and Terra, who's under their control. The soldiers are named Vix and Wedge, or Biggs and Wedge in the Japanese version, a Star Wars reference. They're in search of an elusive magical being known as an Esper, who they have reason to believe is hibernating somewhere in the icy caves. They mention that before Terra was under their control, she had fried 50 of their soldiers in under 3 minutes. It already raises many questions and builds mystery. Are you enthralled yet? This is some good shit. The three march into the snow in their mech suits, known as Magitech armors, as we realize we just watched a pre-credits sequence to a video game. We watch them trek through the 3D Winter Wonderland with those Mode 7 graphics and that emotional cinematic score as we anticipate the adventure that awaits us. We are about to play the greatest video game of all time.
That's right. We're doing this. And what better time? Because I think of this as a winter break type of game. I remember the time off from school. And also, there's something about the cold, downcast, melancholy state the game embodies. Also, with the holiday season, I thought I'd give myself a little bit of a gift. You know, because last time I played one of the worst, most fiery, hellish games of all time. But now, I play its winter polar opposite.
But with good games, sometimes there comes a different kind of trauma. Let me tell you a little story here. As you probably know, this is not a game you just pick up and play for 20 minutes before you hop on the school bus, or even a couple hours after you've done your homework. This is a game that you chip away at over several months. It's a work in progress, a hobby of sorts that you invest yourself in. This is a game you catch up on while you're sick. It was the longest, most all-consuming game of its era. It came out in '94, but sometime I'd say by the summer of '95, I had finally made it to the final area, Kefka's Tower. The finale was in sight. My heart was pounding, my pulse was racing. I was approaching the end of the most epic gaming experience of my life. All of a sudden, the game froze. Yeah, the screen broke up into glitchy colors. Through decades of foggy memory, I'd say it looked something like this. I had never seen anything like that happen before, nor have I ever seen anything like it since. The game restarted, or I had to reset, I can't remember which. The opening scene replayed, which shouldn't happen, so that was a bad omen. So nervously, I waited until I got to the first save point, and there, sure enough, all my save data was erased.
True story. I was definitely an angry nerd that day, especially for a kid with no real-life responsibilities, no family support, nothing like that. No, having your Final Fantasy game erased was a big fucking problem. And that was how my childhood experience with that game ended. And in almost 30 years since, I never again attempted to beat the game. I just could not bear to invest myself in it so deeply again. It's like losing a pet and then deciding to get another pet only to one day again face the inevitable. That was fucking sad, I'm sorry. But that theme of loss is commonly cited as being a big part of the game's storyline. And now that so much time has passed, maybe it's time to give it a shot again. Because I'm gonna do it. This is my second chance. I'm gonna complete my childhood.
When this game first came out, it was the most expensive game I ever bought with my own money. It was close to $80 when most Super Nintendo games were closer to $60. I distinctly remember walking into KB Toys at the mall with my saved up cash. I remember the clerk agreeing that it was overly pricey, But to be fair, he said this game takes like 5 to 8 months to beat, which back then was a big deal. The manual was almost like a whole D&D book full of character stats and information. It even came with a double-sided map. Final Fantasy III was the biggest game of its time. Also, I just gotta say, I know, I've been calling it Final Fantasy III because I'm playing the Super Nintendo version and that's what it's called. Of course, the Super Famicom version is called 6, which we all know is the true sequential number, but back then, I had no idea, and neither did anyone else I knew. Not until 7 came out on PlayStation and I was like, what? How did we get to 7 already? Now, everyone knows the story. I even covered it way back in my Chronologically Confused episode. The mix-up has long been cleared. Everyone calls it 6 now. But the cartridge still says 3. The title screen still says 3. Every time I play it, it still says 3. I tried giving it the finger and telling it, fuck you, you're wrong. But the game still says 3. Fact. So what made this game different from other fantasy adventure games like Zelda? Well, everything. This was the first RPG I ever played. My first glimpse of it was at a friend's house. I remember seeing the battle screen and wondering, why are the characters just slashing at the air? Why are there a bunch of numbers popping up? I wasn't used to this more automated, luck-based fight system. What is this, I thought? Some kind of flashy board game turned into a video game? I actually wasn't that far off, having already owned those role-playing board games like Hero Quest and Dragon Strike. I wasn't fully aware how far back its history went with D&D. I didn't know RPGs were a thing, but after Final Fantasy III on Super Nintendo, I sure as hell did. Anyone who's played the game knows how it works, but basically, you build up a large ensemble of heroes. You travel through towns, caves, and dungeons, collecting items, fighting monsters, meeting people, gaining spells and abilities, and steadily advancing the storyline. On paper, it's like your typical adventure game, but one of the things that made it so extra special for the time was the massive amount of weapons and accessories to equip yourself with, and all the magic and skills to learn. Once you start acquiring the Espers, you can assign them to characters so they can learn certain spells as you go on. This all gives the player the freedom of customizing your characters however you see fit and trying out different combinations of abilities. Speaking of customizing, just the fact that you can name all of them was a fresh concept. Sure, you could do it in games before, but not with that many characters. There's also lots of parts where the characters split up into multiple groups, so you get to pick who goes in each group and who leads. The characters are really the core element of why this game was so groundbreaking. Never had there been such an amazing ensemble, all with their own unique personalities and rich backstories. The camaraderie of these characters really shines through. It's all about building the team. It's Wizard of Oz. It's Lord of the Rings. Over the course of the adventure, you come to know them, almost like real people, and the fact they can achieve this with little pixelated sprites and minimal graphic technology is a major accomplishment. Passion always comes through in spite of limitations. There isn't even a clear main character. They all seem just as important. If I had to pick one, I'd say Terra, whose father was an Esper, which is where her gifted magical abilities come from. Much of her story is about trying to find her identity and place in the world. Having fought on the Empire's side through mind control, she now tries to rectify that by fighting alongside the heroes. Celeste, or Celis, also used to be on the Empire's side and has been genetically powered through magic. She eventually turns against the Empire. Locke is a thief, or treasure hunter as he prefers, who's bitter after his girlfriend was killed by the Empire. He eventually has a romantic yet complicated relationship with Celeste. Edgar is the king of Figaro who pretends to be in alliance with the Empire, but is really on the good guy's side. And on top of that, his entire castle is set on fire. So he's also had his share of tragedy. He's a little bit sketchy though. What the fuck? Sabin is Edgar's brother who leaves the royal life to be free. He looks like Guile, and his blitz moves use similar button commands to Street Fighter. Cayenne is a samurai-type character. His town's water supply was poisoned by the main villain Kefka, killing almost everyone, including his wife and son. Shadow is a more mysterious type of character, a ninja assassin, an outlaw vigilante. He has his loyal dog by his side, and he always comes and goes unexpectedly. The best is when he swoops in to help during a key battle. Gao is sort of a Tarzan-type character, living in the wild, raised by animals. Maybe that's why he scoots on the ground. Ugh, like when your pet leaves those shit comets. There's also Setzer, the Han Solo-like gambler with the fastest airship, which happens to be called the Falcon. There's the little kid Realm and her surrogate grandfather Strago. There's Golgo with the power of Mimic. And Umaro, the brute Yeti, who's so physical, he actually throws the other characters. Look at that. And my favorite is Mog. What's his deal? Well, he's a Moogle. I don't know. I just love this guy. So fucking cute. So with all these characters, it really shows how far games had come by that point. Long gone were the days when it was just pick the guy or pick the girl. Now it was so much more than that. And those are just the playable characters. We can't forget Kefka. Kefka is possibly the greatest video game villain ever conceived. He suffered from an experimental magic infusion by the Empire, which made him go insane. After rising to power, he's become a psychotic tyrant who is hell-bent on senseless destruction. He backs it up with cynical, pessimistic ideology, making statements like, "There's no point of clinging to life when everyone must eventually die." The dude is messed up. Kefka has caused so much turmoil and given all the characters their own individual reasons to consider him a mortal enemy. Despite ripping the world apart, he brings these characters together with a common goal. So the game is very heavy on characters and story, and that usually is the most discussed aspect of the game. As far as the actual gameplay goes, it's innovative as well, but does it have some flaws? Sure, probably, but in this context, they are forgivable, especially given how pioneering this game was. The random encounters on the overworld screen can get a little annoying, and the leveling up and grinding can sometimes feel monotonous, even though the combat screens are so strangely addicting. Leveling up to max can not only take an insane amount of time, but can also make the game too easy. Also, when you're in a town, sometimes people can get in your way. Come on! Come on! Move your ass! Come on, dude. Come on, get out of my way, you fuck! Ah! Oh, no, come on. Out of my way. Walking in general can feel a little clumsy. You can't go diagonal. Squaresoft later corrected this with Chrono Trigger. Man, now that's a fucking good game too. Maybe that's the other greatest game of all time. The movement is much smoother. I also like how you can see all the characters following you. But in Final Fantasy, they all sort of combine into one character. I never understood that.
You know, one time I was working at a convenience store and this guy came in and then he like split up, like his body like divided into 4 people. Yeah, turned out he was with his family.
It is cool that the game shows you how much time you've put in, although I don't know how accurate that is because it's possible to leave the game on while you're not playing. Also, why does it tell you how many steps you've taken? Are the characters wearing an early version of a step tracker for fitness? One of the things I hate is whenever there's a boss or enemy that has a fatal attack that nukes your entire party. So you have to time it with a Life 3 spell or anything to revive at least one member or something to avoid it. This doesn't feel like strategy. It feels almost like a cheat. When the game is unfair, you gotta be unfair. I am aware that sometimes it's possible to get soft-locked. Yeah, it's rare, but say for example one character dies and the other one in the party has pause casted on him, situations like that can really suck because now you lost a whole lot of progress. Let's talk about the abundance of attacks and spells. First of all, the characters all have their own special abilities. Cayenne has sword tech where you charge up an attack, Shadow throws weapons from your inventory and has his interceptor move, Mog has all the crazy dances, Edgar has tools like a drill, and a chainsaw complete with a Jason Voorhees mask. I don't use his Bioblaster that much, but I love how it looks. Strago has the Lure ability to learn the enemy's spells. And because Setzer is a gambler, his moves are based on a slot machine outcome. Gao has Rage, where he uses the enemy's attacks. Sabin has the Blitz moves, like I said. It can suck when you mess up the button command, but these moves are some of the most powerful in my experience, especially the Bum Rush. But my favorite might be the Suplex. I mean, the dude can pick up an entire train! That's hardcore. As I already mentioned, you can teach all the characters spells with the Espers, but also you can use the actual Espers to cast massive spells of their own. There's some amazing psychedelic graphics here. It does things you wouldn't even imagine were possible on the Super Nintendo. I remember when I first saw this stuff, I was like, what the hell? It seemed like my TV screen was melting. Then there's the more comedic Esper spells like Cat Rain. Yeah, just a cartoon cat that comes by. The design of the enemies is a work of art in itself. They differ from the tiny pixelated hero characters since they're so detailed and can be very large. Take a look at Atma. Is that thing intimidating or what? How about Chupan, Poltergeist, Behemoth, Doom, or Hades Gygus Colossus? That's metal as fuck. Final word on the graphics? With all the spells and enemies, it's a marvel to look at. It's some of the best stuff to come out of the SNES. But it doesn't stop there. The sound effects are amazing, and the music by Nobuo Uematsu sounds like it could have been the score for a major film. There's been lots of great video game soundtracks up till this point, but this took it to a whole new level. Some of the best music is featured in the opera scene, and speaking of that, this is one of the most memorable scenes. Fans have praised it for its storytelling and its epic nature. There's no denying what an ambitious achievement this was for gaming. But the actual gameplay, my god, this is the most tedious part. So basically, in the story, you're Celeste taking the place of Maria, an opera singer. The whole thing is a scheme to trick Setzer to get him into your party. But anyway, what sucks about it is you have to remember the song lyrics, which you find prior to that. But if you mess any of it up, you have to start all over again. And there's about 30 minutes of a stretch where you can't save the game. As a kid, you did not want to get called to dinner or get interrupted in any way, or God forbid have a power outage. Back then, before autosaving and sleep mode, and before the internet existed as we know it today, we would often get stuck and had to ask friends to share information on how to get through. Not even Nintendo Power offered much help to this game. I mean, how could it? But let's talk about one of the game's most pivotal chapters of all. It happens after Kefka opens the gate to the Esper world, which causes a major geological event where the entire island becomes the floating continent. The group drops from the airship onto the island and proceeds to embark on a massive dungeon-like sequence, navigating through an elaborate and unstable maze of crumbling areas and teleportation holes and fighting all kinds of difficult monsters. The fact that I have to gloss over this part of the experience says so much about the importance of what happens next. At this point in the game, you've played for so long, you would be more than satisfied if this were the final confrontation. Doesn't it seem like it? Kefka kills the Emperor, officially making himself the head villain, and he unleashes the power of the gods. If this were an Indiana Jones movie, this is where the villain would be destroyed by their own recklessness. It has all the formula of a classic confrontation that would be followed by a final peaceful resolution, but no. You race a timer to leave the continent, and when you reach the edge to leap back onto the airship, you're given the option to wait for Shadow, or else you permanently lose him. As if you're not already shitting your pants, this guy makes you run the timer down to almost the last possible fucking second. After this, we witness a global catastrophe unlike anything before in a game. The ground rips apart, people fall into earthquakes, the airship is torn in half, everyone is scattered and lost, and then we're met with a black screen with a simple line that resonates so much. On that day, the world was changed forever.
Imagine playing this as a kid. Back in the day, before the internet as we know existed, and we didn't know what was going to happen next. I mean, this could be the ending. It could just be one big miserable downer, or we could be nowhere near the end.
Celeste awakens on a small deserted island being cared for by Sid, who's like a parental figure and has a lot of history with the Final Fantasy series. Anyway, after she gains consciousness, Sid succumbs to his own sickness, and you need to care for him by catching and feeding him fish. He can either live or die, which doesn't change a whole lot with the outcome of the game, but if he dies, you witness the most depressing scene of any game I've ever played. Celeste goes to the top of a cliff, reminisces about Locke and how everyone's gone, and with nothing left in her life, she tries to end it all. Looking back, this is the darkest and most shocking thing I've ever seen in a game that was played by kids. But Celeste survives, finds out Locke is still alive, takes a raft, and embarks on a new quest. By going in such a dark place, the game is able to make a point that no matter how bleak things seem, there's always hope. When you think about it, this is why Kefka is such a relevant antagonist, because he thinks life is meaningless. He uses his own trauma to spread despair and bring down all the others. He tries to make all the other characters give up.
Do you want to give up after how far you've come? Hell no!
Even though you've lost everything and now have to find where your friends have gone, collect all new items, and explore the transformed landscape, which is now called the World of Ruin. This idea was not a brand new concept. Zelda: Link to the Past had a similar idea with the light and dark worlds, but the way it's done here is entirely different and more relatable.
As you go on, all that talk of the previous world and how things used to be makes so much more sense as an adult. As a kid, how are you supposed to reminisce on the good old days? You have to grow up and experience life first. So for that reason, what I'm trying to say here is that not only does this game hold up today, it's actually better as an adult. Geez, all that talk of how the world went to shit is eerily similar to what happened in the spring of 2020 when it wasn't even possible to function in the same way or do the same things. But we made that climb back. We restored. We're fucking back. And likewise, this game gives you that feeling of building back. Because now, you have to play the rest. In the words of Rambo, nothing is over. In the words of the angry video game nerd, we're only halfway through the fucking game! Look at all these stairs. Look at all these fucking stairs! Wait a minute. I'm having a flashback. When we get to 20, tell me. I'm gonna throw up.
So once you've gained back all your characters, leveled them up enough, learned enough spells, and built up all your resources, you can make the call and go to Kefka's Tower. You divide into 3 parties. The choices you make are crucial because each group is going to be taking an entirely different path. You're going to have to survive through many battles, so unless you spend enough time grinding, you might end up with one party that's way weaker than the others. So hopefully you have their powers spread out wisely.
This is it. The final challenge and the place where my game glitched. Remember that theme of loss? I lost my whole fucking game, and now it's time to get it back.
Let me ask a question. Have you ever walked into a bathroom to fight a monster?
Yeah, he's right near a toilet. That's a real shitty battle. Kefka's tower is an endurance. You'll be begging for a fucking save spot and have many close calls. Oh man, I hope it doesn't glitch again or anything else happens.
Just kidding. I have a battery backup. Yeah, it's all good. Oh, hey, look at that. The power's back on already. Okay, all right, let's beat this game quick. Santa?
Oh, Merry Christmas, nerd! Merry Christmas! There's nothing I love more than filming skits.
Hey, Santa, I'm a little busy right now.
Are you still playing that game, nerd? Why, that was last year, wasn't it? Oh,
fuck.
Oh, well, you could use a break from that game anyway, right, nerd?
You know, you're right. I could use a break. Santa!
Oh, come sit on my lap, little boy!
Well, actually, I'm gonna sit you on your fucking lap! Oh! You take a fucking break!
You're cold Christmas! Nerd!
Oh, it erased it all too? Oh, what the fuck! Oh, no, that's it. No. I'm not letting this go. I'm going to beat it right here, right now.
Anyway, now that I'm back, I made it through Kefka's tower. The three parties reach the final area and regroup as one full ensemble for what can only be the climax.
I've done it. I've made it to the final battle.
Kefka gives a cynical speech about the meaningless of life, while the heroes counter, telling of what they've learned through the course of their adventure and the things they hold dear to them. Friendship, family, love, freedom, all their stories have come together in a satisfying way. And then Kefka calls for the greatest power of the universe. Standing on top of Fiery Peak, he says he'll create a monument to non-existence. This is when you start to wonder why this wasn't written as a stage play or feature film. Next, you determine the order your characters fight in, and then it's on.
Holy shit!
It's Satan! What else could it be? And if this wasn't enough, after he's defeated, the screen quakes and scrolls upward as you must face a whole tree of bosses. It's like bosses growing upon bosses upon bosses. Motherfuck! Oh my God! What is this all supposed to be anyway? It's like you're fighting Renaissance art. It's as if Michelangelo's The Last Judgment came to life and tried to kill you. And the haunting choir and organ music gives it an epic biblical effect. Some have even said the three tiers of bosses represent hell, purgatory, and heaven. Dude, if you have to fight hell, purgatory, and heaven, you better just call it a day.
Yeah, and we're not even at Kefka. Oh my God!
This is not Kefka as you'd expect. After becoming so familiar with that clowny little sprite, now he becomes a wicked angel, floating against a golden cloudy sky, blasting with heavenly light beams. They went above and beyond to make this the most epic final boss in gaming history. And I can't stress enough that if you're not leveled up properly and have enough Life 3 spells, you're just gonna get wiped out in one hit.
Ah! I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I did it! I did it! After almost 30 years, I finally beat Final Fantasy 3 or 6.
When you first hear that deafening crackle and see Kefka wither away into ashes, it's a feeling like no other. You just beat the greatest game of all time. And then you get a cinematic ending that goes on for over 20 minutes. Just sit back and enjoy, because for everything you went through, they knew when they made this game that you fucking deserve it.
Another bucket list item checked off. It was worth going back and reclaiming that magic. I feel nostalgia is at its most powerful this time of year. The magic of the holidays harkens back to a more innocent time. The game itself is about characters who are literally trying to reclaim magic from a bygone era. And I can say the magic inside this cartridge is still strong.
On the top tier of the good-ass scale, there's a few levels. Games that are good like Robin Hood, dope as a kaleidoscope, and fuck me through the fucking ceiling!
This was the first gaming masterpiece of its kind. And there's only room in life for so many games to make such a lasting impression on you when you're a kid. And for me, this is it. This is one of those. And now I feel a sense of closure that I finally completed it, having taken almost 30 years. But now that's finally done, guess what? There's 16 of them!
You want some good shit? Let's talk Blaster Master on NES. It was another one of those Nintendo Power memories, one of the earliest in fact, appearing in issue number 3. I was only 8 years old, but I still remember getting excited by those screenshots, renting the game from the video store, and then seeing the opening cutscene and being totally perplexed.
I'll describe it like I see it.
Dude has a frog in a jar. Frog jumps away. Radioactive box happens to be outside the dude's home. Frog touches the radioactive box and grows. Frog jumps down hole. Dude jumps down hole. Dude finds a futuristic battle tank. Yeah, just sitting in a cave underneath his backyard.
Well, that is one hell of a find.
And there's an armored suit that comes with it, so he just decides to put it on. Why not? And then, title screen.
What an intro. And to this day, it's just as perplexing. The manual doesn't explain much else except that the dude's name is Jason and the frog's name is Fred. Just in case you wanted to know. Man, nowadays games are all about the story. You would have to have this whole 30-minute cutscene explaining all this stuff. But with Blaster Master, it doesn't matter. It could have been anything. It could have been a clown on a farm that spits out a jack-in-the-box that goes up in a rocket and turns into a space sloth. You will forget everything you just saw as soon as you press start. Oh, yeah!
What can I say? It's the bomb. It's the shit. It kicks ass. It fucks hard. Add whatever cliche expression from whatever era you like, you get a game that transcends all eras. First of all, the music rocks your goddamn face off. Second, it has instant playability, very intuitive controls. Third, it has variety. You have the main side-scrolling mode where you drive around in your tank, and then there's the overhead stages. And the cool thing about the side-scrolling stages is that you can hop out on foot. Yeah, look at that little guy walking around. You even have separate life bars for you in the tank. This is one of the best games on the NES to not have a ton of sequels. It's not Konami, it's not Capcom, it's Sunsoft, man. Why don't we talk more about Sunsoft? Batman, Journey to Silius, Gremlins 2, Fester's Quest. Yeah, well, maybe that's not the best sign, but Fester's Quest still had awesome music, and you can tell by the overhead stages that they were directly lifted from Blaster Master. I mean, just look at them side by side. There's no question about it, especially the boss battles. I'd even say all Sunsoft games share some kind of creative kinship. They have similar enemies, similar graphics, similar sound effects. And when you see an explosion like that, you know that's not just any explosion, that's a Sunsoft explosion. The controls are as perfect as you can ask for. Your tank builds up momentum, so when you let go of the D-pad, it cruises like you just let your foot off the gas. Watch me hop across these platforms. You would think I'm holding the D-pad, but I'm not. I'm just cruising. Oh, hell yeah! Even if you face the other way, the cruising continues. I love it. There are some weird things, like if you blast away blocks and then pause the game, all the blocks will regenerate. Sometimes you have to blast blocks to make your own custom platforms. Like, look how precise I have to get that. Here, let me pause and make a note. Oh, no, I paused. Oh, shit. Oh, well, that was a fuck up. Or a strategy. This game has excellent game over etiquette. It gives you unlimited continues. It starts you at the beginning of whatever area you were in, you lose any ammo you picked up for your special weapons, but otherwise, you keep all your progress. So I have nothing to complain about here.
How often is that when I can say a game is totally fair? Well, there is one problem. There are no saves, no passwords, no stage select codes. You are expected to beat the entire game in one sitting. That is rough. I mean, think about how many times you have to pause it to go to school or work or whatever. That AC adapter is going to get hot as shit.
It would be one thing if this game was perfectly linear and you could beat it easily in one sitting, but that's not the case. This is another one of those WTF DYG games. That's right, a where the fuck do you go game. A name like Blaster Master implies it's all straight up action, but it should be called Mazer Blazer because it's just one gigantic maze. There is nothing self-explanatory whatsoever. Even after you've beaten the boss, you can't just go to the next stage. You need to find the stage, or area as they call it. This means backtracking through the previous stages to find the hidden entrance. How are you supposed to know where it is? Nintendo Power tried to help, and so did the manual, but in this day and age, you gotta look up a walkthrough, and they're way more helpful.
You know what? Let's take a moment to bless all the kind souls who have made all those walkthroughs.
When we're stuck in a game and all seems to fail, you give us hope. Your brave dedication in beating these hard-ass games knows no bounds. Your meticulous, obsessive detail in unraveling these unconquered shit saucers is a heroic duty that remains unmatched. So we thank you, video game walkthrough heroes.
But even when you know where to go, it's easier said than done. I need to use the hover ability to get up on that platform, but my hover meter's drained. And you know where the power-up is? Up on the platform. So I have to go farming for some H. Okay, so I filled up more than half my meter. I mean, that should be enough, right? Then I come back, and then the H somehow moved up to the higher platform, but I only have enough hover power to get to the first platform. It's like the game is deliberately teasing me, like pulling a treat away from a dog. Asshole, that's how you get fucking bit. And I would bite this game if only it wasn't shit. So I went farming again, this time with the intention of filling my meter all the way. And guess what? I died. This shit happens all the time. So you have to farm, but you might be in a shitty area, you know, where the soil ain't fertile enough. Throw some goddamn manure on that shit, motherfucker. You also gotta keep your life meter full. Just look for the letter P for power. You know, in these retro games, that's all you're doing all the time is collecting letters. It's all alphabetical, you know, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z! Huh? That's all you have to do!
Even with the power-ups and the walkthroughs, the game still takes the patience of a saint. But there is one thing I can do that might expedite the process. I got this new controller that uses artificial intelligence. I keep hearing about AI all the time. I don't know what any of that shit is about, but apparently you can do everything with AI these days. You could probably even take a shit with AI. So what this controller does is it analyzes all the possible paths in the game, and then it maps out a chain of commands and inputs the best moves. So it's all automatic. You don't gotta do a thing. Should I try it? Nah, not yet.
The hit detection, how do I put it? It sucks. Like, come on. My bullets don't do a thing. It's bad enough that the bosses have no life meter, so you can't tell if you're doing any damage. I mean, there's 2 fucking bars on the screen. Couldn't one of them be for the boss? However, you can tell when you're not hitting the right spot because you hear that familiar sound, you know, like Contra. That's that metallic dinging kind of sound. Like, you know, it's such a specific NES sound. I mean, I'd say anyone at least over the age of 35 knows that fucking sound. But seriously, where's the hitbox? It seems to be completely random. And is this frog related to Jason's pet Fred? Maybe it's Fred II. One thing I did figure out is that you need to upgrade your gun if you want any hope of beating these later bosses. That second meter is for your gun. You need to fill it up by collecting power-ups, which are scarce. And whenever you get hit, you lose your gun power. Why? Imagine if in Doom, if you get hit by a demon, you lose your ammo. By that logic, if I get a health power-up, shouldn't that power up my gun too? Makes no fucking sense. I don't even like powering up my gun. It's all wavy and shit. How are you supposed to hit anything? Yeah, going back to Fester's Quest, it's just like that. And don't you hate it when the boss's weak spot is in the line of fire? You can't play offensively and defensively at the same time. How do you hit him without getting hit? And fucking hell is my thumb in pain. I'd suggest a turbo controller, or maybe that AI controller. Oh, never mind, I beat him. So I make it to the boss with the full gun, and I don't even think it's helping. Nothing is hitting. What am I shooting out anyway? A bunch of tiny space invaders? I don't think I can get past him on my own. Not even with the full gun and full health. Who knows how many hits this guy's gonna take? Fuck! Damn! Shit!
I'm at the end of the line here. Alright, let's try this AI controller. It adapts to any console, so here, let me just find the NES plug here. Here we go.
So I think how this works is you turn the dial to ramp up the amount of AI being used. Oh wow, look at that. It just annihilated the boss.
This thing really works. Let's dial that back for now.
To go from stage 6 to 7, you gotta backtrack to stage 5, and then to stage 4, to stage 1, to stage 2. Oh my god, I'll just put on the AI again. Jeez. Oh man, watch it go! Stage 7 is a labyrinth with lava pits, caves, and walls you have to shoot out. I guess I'll just sit back and let the controller do its trick. But check that out. The buttons are pressing all by themselves. And here comes a second frog boss, which I guess would make it Fred III. Oh, fuck. That was quick.
I didn't even get the chance to fight him. Let's turn this thing off.
So here I am trying to find stage 8. I now have both the wall climb and ceiling climb abilities. It's a necessity to get through certain areas, but the controls are really disorienting. Let's say you're going left, that means if you go up the wall and onto the ceiling, you're still pressing left to move right. I just can't get used to it. And then sometimes, whoa, I did not mean to climb under that platform. Oh fuck, did you see that? I tried to jump over this pit of deadly spiked balls, but I ended up climbing down to my death.
Alright, well, let's turn that AI back on.
There we go, and now there's nothing stopping us. Holy shit, look how hard stage 8 gets. I would never be able to do this on my own. It feels like I just handed the controller to a pro. Oh yeah, here's the final stretch. Final boss. Wow, that thing is so cool, it's featured on the front cover. The only character on the front cover. Oh, whoa, damn! Blew through that guy. Wait a minute. Wait. Who's he? Some random bonus boss? Wow, oh my god, look at that. Fucking him up, big time! Yeah!
Well, this game's beat.
The mountain palace or whatever collapses, even though I thought we fell down a hole. How'd we get from underground caverns to mountaintops? Then it looks like Jason's reunited with Fred. And then the credits scroll, and wait a minute, the end. Very thanks.
Well, you are very welcome. Well, it's Halloween once again, and as always, I'm reviewing something creepy, something crappy. But for this occasion, I'm equipped with a cane of silver. It has the pentagram, sign of the wolf. What a coincidence. It represents my own primitive impulse to curse. But I'm going to try to avoid the curse. Let's see if I can review it with class, dignity, and a clean mouth.
Werewolf: The Last Warrior on NES. The opening text describes a mad doctor who's created a band of biomonsters to imprison the planet's population, and the only one who can stop it is a werewolf. That is quite magnificent. Considering this is 1990, I would say that's a pretty satisfying introduction to a game. You're telling me I'm going to play as a werewolf with blades for arms? Well, sign me up. Oh, come on now. This is how the game begins? You're just thrown into a one-on-one button masher beat-em-up? This makes Double Dragon Mode B look like a masterpiece. And would you know, the controls are swapped. B jumps, A attacks. Have they played another NES game? That's not how it works. They put all this effort into the cutscenes, giving it this brilliant comic book aesthetic. They know how to look nice, but don't know the difference between left and right. Kind of person who wears a real sharp tuxedo, but with their shoes on the wrong feet. As human, your only attack is this lousy punch, but soon enough when you touch a red W, you turn into the wolf. Wait, hang on a second. Don't knock?
Well, I was gonna knock, but now I'm not. Thanks for clearing that up. I would have never known not to knock.
How would I knock? There's not even anything to knock on. What is it pointing to? There's nothing there. And this sign keeps showing up again and again. So it must be important, right? But how could it be if you can't knock, but don't knock? No problem, I won't. By the way, the character's name is Werewolf.
At first I thought it was a typo. I thought they meant to say the werewolf. But no, it's intentional. The character's name is Werewolf. That'd be like if you called Mario Plumber. They went through all the effort to have this awesome design and these blade arms and everything, and then they couldn't come up with a better name than Werewolf?
I'm not kidding, I counted. They say it 6 times. 6 times! But hey, here's the thing, don't knock it, if you will. The manual calls him Warwolf, which is so much better. And in the comic book, yes, there was a comic that came with the game. On the first page, they clarify that his human name was Warwolf. But now that he's a badass blade-armed wolf, he's just Werewolf. Wow, they went above and beyond by including a comic book, all just for a dumb name like that.
You know, I hear Dracula's changing his name to Vampire. Of all the stupid things, that is really friggin' stupid.
I'm gonna lose myself, and I'm only in the first level. This werewolf, formerly known as Warwolf, has so many awkward moves to pull off, like this wall climb. All it does is get me stuck like a fly on flypaper. And please explain this to me. Why does he need to climb a ladder when he can climb the walls?
Makes the ladder seem a little rather superfluous, don't you think?
A and B does a backflip, which is rarely useful, and then there's a ceiling grab. You have to jump with B, and then press up and A simultaneously at the precise moment you touch the ceiling. This werewolf does so much crazy stuff, the only thing he can't do is knock. If you touch a blue W, you turn back into human, or should I say back into Warwolf. So now you're 1,000 times weaker, but you're probably thinking, there must be some benefit to human form, right? Well, to answer that, no, there isn't. It's like Jekyll and Hyde. Nobody wants to be Jekyll. He sucks. And I'm sorry to mention that putrid game again. It's not meant to be a running joke. It's a running curse. Oh, and what happens when you touch the blue W while human? Guess what? You take damage. That's just great. Ugh, what's up with these laser showers? I just get zapped to death. I tried waiting for a pattern, I tried crawling, I tried running, jumping, nothing. I figured the best bet is to just take damage, hoping to make it through, but there are so many lasers I'm never gonna survive.
And that's that. It's only stage 1, and I can't make it through. You just backflip through it? You just backflip through it. Well, forget this game!
Who are you?
The game bit you, did it?
Yeah, it did.
Did you curse yet?
No, I haven't cursed yet in this episode.
Even the nerd who is pure at heart and says no curse may become a swearwolf when he boils with rage and the game gets worse.
Oh no. I destroyed a game. I tell you, a plain, ordinary game.
Stage 2 takes place on the street, so now he's like a street brawler werewolf. Sure, whatever. But then you go down and take a guess. Take a wild guess where you end up. In the sewers. Do you think there's enough NES games that have sewers? How much more cliche can you get? Oh my god, bats? Bats in the sewers? This is every NES game chewed up and barfed into one pile. Green goop? You know there's always toxic green goop in the sewers. This is giving me Ninja Turtles vibes, especially with that shitty unreachable jump.
Did I just say shit, man?
Halfway through the stage, you end up climbing a building like Batman and Robin.
Mamma mia!
Good day, citizen. Don't mind me. I'm here on official business. Once you reach the rooftops, it becomes a labyrinth of steel beams. I mean, look at that. You're telling me I can't go up there? Wait a minute. Did lightning strike me? Yeah, just a random, hey, guess what? You're dead. That's a cheap shot. It's uncalled for. Anywhere you step, you have to memorize where the lightning strikes. And there's a difference between dodging something and just knowing where it is because you've played it so many frickin' times. What game does this remind you of? Do I have to say it again? Do I have to say it? No, I don't.
Just thinking about it makes my hair stand on end.
Then there's all these leaps of faith, or faithless leaps of death. It looks like you're supposed to go down, but you just drop and die. But then there's times when you're pretty sure you're gonna die, but there's no other options left, so you give it a shot, and it works. Like, how was I supposed to know that?
It's like you're expected to have some extra senses to just sniff it out.
Stage 2 ends with the craziest way I've ever seen to enter a boss fight. You go ziplining, and then fall all the way down, and next thing, you're fighting Juggernaut from X-Men. Now, I don't mean it looks like Juggernaut, it is Juggernaut. This is not like in my Transformers review when I jokingly said that Trypticon is Mechagodzilla. This time, it's like the same character. But no, let's get this straight. This isn't Juggernaut, this is Ironhead.
There's been some speculation that this game was originally intended to be an X-Men game because of how similar the characters are. I mean, if you look at Wolverine, you'll see what I'm talking about here. But it's only a rumor. It's not like the final boss is going to be Magneto.
Stage 3 starts in the woods until you take another random leap of faith and drop into some sort of base. This is where the game goes from frustrating to downright unplayable. It's that alarm sound. Ah, make it stop!
Ah! Oh!
This isn't one of those beeps when you're low on health. No. This is just a random alarm for no reason whatsoever. Did someone set off the metal detector or something? What happened? And it's continuous. You hear it throughout the whole stage. What's the point? Somebody was sitting there going, oh, you know what this stage needs? A big, blaring, obnoxious alarm. Because who needs music? And why are these superhero guys calling me a hoe? He's calling me a hoe. But when he's looking the other way, he says, oh, like they literally flipped the graphics. How am I supposed to get over these spikes? Oh, I can zip line. Perfect. Wait, you gotta be kidding me. You're supposed to drop down that hole, which you would think would kill you. And now where do I go? I guess I'm gonna drop down there. No, now you're totally messing with me. Son of a... Ugh! This whole thing is one sick joke! Then you have to dodge lasers while hopping over platforms. But you need to do the backflip, which you can only do as Werewolf. If you're Werewolf, aka human, just give up. Wait a minute. When he lays like a pile of blankets, he looks like Mr. Hyde. Anyway, if you're not Werewolf, you're not passing these lasers. Your best option is to die and start the level over. But no, you can't do that because you have only 5 lives, which means 5 continues. And even then, you backflip through the lasers only to fall in a pit. Oh, that's because the screen doesn't scroll when you backflip. Somebody really fudged that up. Then you jump down another blind pit, and next thing, the boss rushes you immediately. There's no way to avoid it. How cheap is that? It would be like a boxing match where you get punched before the bell rings. No warning, nothing. And then you notice the timer is ticking down. Yes, if you thought life wasn't cruel enough, this game has a time limit.
Come on, come on, come on, come on! Come on, come on! Yes! Did it! Oh, that made me so nervous. Oh.
When you make it to stage 4, you're told that water is the natural enemy of a werewolf. Water? Seriously? Was that ever part of any werewolf lore? Wow. No kidding. But the water kills him as human too, so go figure. Anyway, this is the most hellish waterfall stage of all time. You take 2 steps and something hits you. It's the knockback, man. But it's not just a knockback, it's a knock forward or knock any which way that results in instant death. How about don't knock? And if you even stop for a moment to contemplate what you're gonna do, the twig from the Karate Kid Typhoon stage comes flying over. There's nothing you can do. The fish keep on coming. There's no break, no pattern. They just spam you till you fall. You wait for them to pass, but there's always more. And it doesn't help that every time you die, you go back to being human. The jumps are spaced too far apart, and I haven't forgotten up and B makes you jump extra high, but it only works whenever it feels like it. Ugh, darn! Shoot! But! Fudge!
Ah! Oh! Oh! Oh no! Fucking swearwolf, for Christ's sake!
Fuck this waterfall stage. This is where the game designers decided you are not meant to pass. It's just one big fortified fuck zone. Fuck! Fuck! Fuck!
Fuck! Oh wait, I did it.
So now I'm reaching the end of stage 4. Hang on, that is a ladder, right? Why can't I climb down? Is it just for fucking decoration? Here, you think I would go right, but that would be too obvious. No, instead you have to go to that broken ladder and drop. Then you fight the stage 4 boss, and by now I realize I barely have any time left on the clock. Get down here. Look at that cheap move. He's staying in the air. He's staying up there to run the clock out. Fucking asshole. Get down. Get down here. I did it. With 8 seconds left.
Woo! Yeah! You could lick my hairy wolf nards!
Stage 5 brings out the fuck. There are so many shitty jumps, so many enemies ganging up on you, and constant knockbacks. Hey, right there, don't you think I would fall straight down instead of diagonally over? Sometimes, even trying to make a normal jump, you almost have to glitch yourself up there.
As a lycanthrope, I'm not liking this. It's so fuckified it's as if it was designed by Buttcrack Bob. I'd rather eat the hardened cat piss from a litter box. As a wolf, I might actually like that. But the point is, this game was a bad time.
You'd think I could go right, but no, I have to go up to the higher platform because that slight elevation in height makes such a huge fucking difference. Come on, get up there. Ah, what the fuck?
Fuck!
When I say things are impossible, you know, of course, it is possible, which makes it worse because it's an incentive to prolong the suffering. You know how many times I had to restart from the beginning? You don't want to know. You think some extra lives would have helped. Instead, all I find is stuff you don't need, like money. I'm a goddamn werewolf. What would I need money for? Could you imagine a werewolf walking into a store? And what's this? It looks like the pissing statue from Jekyll and Hyde. There is no doubt Werewolf the Last Warrior is the spiritual successor of Jekyll and Hyde. Two equal planes of shitty existence, and at the nexus of it all, the statue. It marks the spot, the unholy shrine of the gaming world.
But there's no piss. Where's the piss? Maybe the piss is turned off. Well, I'm pissed off!
And after the non-pissing statue, you reach a dead end. Oops, wrong way. You might as well just fall and die.
And after you've navigated this mess, you reach the final boss. Yeah, that's right. Only 5 stages, but thank fuck!
The doctor drinks a potion, yes, once again like Jekyll, and turns into a doppelganger of Werewolf. After some tedious trial and error, you nail down his pattern and beat him. But after that, you wait, and wait, and wait.
I thought I'd seen it all, but here comes a game where after the final boss, nothing happens. Come on.
Then, after 30 seconds and nothing, the ground starts shaking.
Well, we're waiting! Alright, here we go!
It's Magneto. And it's definitely Magneto. Just think, I almost shut the game off when I would have missed the most blatant X-Men ripoff. He is a son of a bitch. He throws shit at you and makes lightning appear. Fights like an asshole. The only way to make it through is if you manage to stay in werewolf form and keep up with the pattern flawlessly.
I'm gonna do it! I'm gonna win! Yeah! Oh boy! American Werewolf in America! America!
Next time? Next time?
Next time? No, I'm telling you, there's not gonna be a next time! I'm never playing this filth again! I'm so mad, I could rip somebody's head off!
When I came to, my head was throbbing and my mouth tasted of stale booze and ashtrays. My brain was fogged over and my memory was as blank as a Commodore 64 load screen. Somebody had put me under, and I had the feeling they had taken more than just my memories. The hat on the floor matched my trench coat, but gave no answers. I couldn't recognize the face in the mirror, nor could I tell where I was. I seemed to be in some kind of video game library. There were random shit stains, a roll of toilet paper, an empty drink, and a game cartridge that was incinerated beyond recognition. There was a pistol, which I identified as a Nintendo Zapper. It had been fired. Its warm touch could have only come from the coldest of hearts. I thought I could smell the faint scent of perfume from a dame, or perhaps it was some kind of nostalgic allure to something else. All I knew was, it smelled of trouble, and it wasn't a dame that did a number on me, it was a game. And I was going to find out which one. I didn't recall ever playing Roger Rabbit before. It looked pretty swell, so I gave it a try. And then something dawned on me. I wasn't playing the game was playing me. The controls were as slippery as a fish in a bucket of grease, and my optimism went out the window faster than a bullet through a bag of piss. So I tried other games that, to my memory, I had never played before. Top Gun, Back to the Future, Dick Tracy, The Last Ninja, Goonies 2. The covers were designed to seduce you, to lure you in, only to break your heart. Was it possible people could have remembered playing these games as kids, thinking they were great, only to find that their memory wasn't fully intact? I realized that looking for a good game in this mess was as rare as finding a diamond in a back alley dumpster. I tell you, this game library was a plastic jungle full of electronic predators, and I was the prey. The shelves rose like buildings with colorful labels hiding the sins of the corrupt game corporations. Somebody ought to talk about these games, I thought, if only there was some kind of obsessed nerd who could spread the message of this filth. And then it hit me like a lead pipe. Who was I? Why was I wearing this getup? Did it offer any clue to the game genre I was playing? No, that would be silly. That would be like dressing up as Batman to play Batman games. Who does that? But it seemed all too familiar, like I was having deja vu. Wait. I investigated the NES shelf and realized something was missing under D, and it all came back to me. Earlier that day, I was playing Deja Vu on NES. It was a crime-solving game that made me feel so much like a detective, I was practically sitting in my own private dick office. Sprawled across my desk were the pages of Nintendo Power. It returned me to my youth, but since we're already in a flashback here, let's just say it piqued my interest. I always remembered that image of the guy holding the photo of himself holding the photo. It begged the question, how did he take that photo? The title was memorable too. As a kid, it was my first time ever hearing the term deja vu. I didn't know what it meant. I assumed maybe it was some form of kung fu. Must be an action game, I thought. Until I realized it was a point-and-click adventure and dismissed it prematurely. But here again as an adult, I was back on the case. Deja Vu was first on the Macintosh computer in 1985, back when controlling a pointer on the screen with a mouse was a big deal. Appropriately enough, it was in black and white, like the 1940s detective films it was inspired by. The Maltese Falcon, Double Indemnity, The Big Sleep, but it went to color when it was ported to Commodore 64, Amiga, and so on. It was created by ICOM Simulations, who also made Uninvited and Shadowgate using the same engine and interface. Together they're known as the Mac Venture series, or is it like McVenture, like McDonald's? But Deja Vu has the distinction of being the only NES game to truly capture the spirit of those classic noir films. Sure, there were other detective games, but only Deja Vu had that dark, cynical vibe. Even though the blood was toned down if you compare it with the other computer versions, it was much more adult-themed than what you'd usually come across on the NES, as we'll soon see. It's also the only NES game I can think of where you start out in the shitter. Literally, the first screen is in a bathroom of a bar. Boy, that's one hell of a way to kick things off. Your character has no recollection of how he got there or who he is. Then you find a dead body and realize you've been framed for murder. So the goal is to find out what happened and who's behind it all. And a clever thing here is that you're not just trying to obtain evidence, you also have to get rid of evidence that would implicate you. I have to give credit where credit is due. The text is very amusing. It's a man who appears to be lacking something, namely life. Yeah, you think? Even simple things like if I examine the sink, it tells me it appears to be a sink. Gee, thanks. Or better yet, if you open the toilet lid, it says, "You are relieved that you find nothing inside." Okay, that is funny. And one of my favorites, if you examine the fire escape, it tells you it's a fire escape. When there's a fire, you use it to escape. My chest heaved with a feeling more rare than a $3 bill in this town, a feeling called laughter. On the bar, you find a shot glass, which they call seltzer, but when your character downs it, he reacts as if it's really harsh stuff, so clearly it's meant to be booze. And as I contemplated that, I took a good hard swig of apple juice. But then you find gambling tables and slot machines in the back of some speakeasy, and it's the best way to earn more money, I mean the only way, so the game encourages you to gamble. The music is great, it has that jazzy, mysterious vibe. But the part that's ass is the controls. Of course, this is not a computer and you have to move the pointer with the D-pad instead of a mouse, so it's kinda doomed from the start. It takes way too long to do simple tasks like going through a door. I mean, first you have to select open, then you drag the pointer to the door, click it, now it's open, and then you have to select move, drag the pointer over, and then click the door again. So basically, the simple act of going through a door is 4 actions. Not to mention, navigation is confusing, but they gave you these blue dots to help you out, which you can alternatively click on to move yourself around. I mean, I would explain how this works, but I really have no fucking idea. The verbiage can be confusing. If you try moving through a closed door, it says it can't be moved if it's not open. Wait, is move meant like to move something, or is it to move myself? Leave doesn't mean leave the room, it means to leave something, like leave a shit, because who actually takes a shit? But about the word take. If I see medicine on the counter, does take the medicine mean to take it into my inventory, or to take the medicine, to consume it? Actually, if you want to eat or use anything on yourself, you're supposed to take the item first, like gum for instance, and then select use, and then select self. Wait, hang on, that's gum, right? Not gun. Okay, that would be a big mistake. If I selected gun instead of gum, that would be a bad move. A BM, a real shitty move. But hey, let's see what happens. Oh my god. Good job. That's a great way to go out with a bang. So much for your dreams and aspirations. Blam. R.I.P. Ace Harding. Well, that's one way to find out your identity. From the beginning, the odds were against you. It was only a matter of time until you reached the end, your history. That's brilliant. That might be better than you and your friends are dead. Because not only are you dead, your whole life was a fail. So I got to an elevator and I couldn't figure out how to get it moving. Eventually I found out I had to hit the buttons. The same action you use to punch people. Imagine going into an elevator and punching the ever-loving fuck out of it. Next thing, he goes into a wine cellar, and to open a secret door, he has to punch the fucking wine! Who goes around punching wine bottles?
It won't open! Gosh, how am I gonna get this fucking door to open?
Then you meet a dame in an alley and she says she has a surprise for you in her purse. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I guess you can't take the chance, so... Really? Is this what I'm supposed to do? Sako! She's out like a light and her purse drops to the ground. I couldn't believe my eyes. Was this some kind of rude joke? It looks like you hit her pretty hard. She's out cold, and then you take her money. Of all the dirty, crooked things you could do in an NES game, this one takes the cake. Next thing, you walk into Pete's All-Night Gun Palace. Wow, you buy a gun using gambling money. Could you imagine kids playing this? I mean, not to mention, the gun is only $20. $20! But anyway, the thing that sucks here is that you have to buy each bullet individually. You think they could have come up with a less tedious way to do this? If you walked into a store, wouldn't you buy all your items as one transaction? Who the fuck does it this way? Then you still have to load the gun, and by the game's terminology, that means using the bullet on the gun. So you select use, then page through the inventory, find the bullets, click it, and then page all the way back over to the gun, click it, and there you go. You've loaded one bullet. You're probably asking, oh, wait now, did you really have to do that 6 times? You better believe it. 6 times. 6 times! I think that's the main problem with this game. Everything takes too long. A mugger with a gun approached me. My first thought was to try and shoot him, but you have to go through the usual hoops and hurdles to select the gun and use it on the guy. But oops, he shoots you first. What did you expect? You thought he was just going to stand there and wait? It reminds me of that new Star Wars Special Ultra Edition, the one where Han is too slow.
Yes, I bet you have.
So clearly, using the gun on the mugger ain't a good idea. So what's the real solution? Take a guess. Punch him. Of course! This guy is like the master of the fist. All you do is go around punching people. You arrive at a house and the butler doesn't let you in, you just punch him in the fucking face. Punching is always the solution. At a certain point, you start punching people just for fun to see whatever hilarious text comes up. And just when you thought you could punch your way out of every problem, the game pulls cheap shots like this. I fell into a construction pit? How did that happen? The game just decided, hey, you know what? You're dead. And then there's a random alligator in the sewer. Well, this time I tried the gun and it worked. In fact, the computer versions show blood, which makes the animal cruelty feel so much more shameful. I mean, what was I thinking going into the sewers? Everybody knows there's alligators down there. There's many times when you have to ride a cab. It's the only way to reach certain spots where you have to find items and clues before returning to where you were. But here's the problem. If you don't have money for a round trip and you forget to check ahead of time, you could get stranded. At least I thought. Imagine my dismay when I rode the cab, paid the driver, explored the property, and then realized I didn't have the money to get back. My first instinct was to try punching the driver, but for once, it didn't work because of the glass. Using my gun didn't help either because the glass is bulletproof and I got sent to jail. I tried running from the cab, but he called the cops and again, I was sent to jail. It seemed I desperately needed to find some money, but I was stranded at a location where there was no money to be found. I felt trapped like a rat. My world narrowed down like a cage closing in on me. How was I to get out of this mess? Would I have to reset the game after all that work I put in? So, I began retrying the same shit. I rode the cab and once again, I ran. And then, all hope came flooding back in an instant like a rainfall in Death Valley. The driver cut me a break. He said I could pay him back later. I don't know what was different this time, but I wasn't complaining. There is only one casino in town, and that was the only place to get money, aside from stealing it out of wallets. The game forces you to gamble. It's an absolute necessity in this crooked world. This time, I wasn't messing around. I was determined to turn this casino into my personal ATM. And just when I started winning, I began to lose. Until I was at fucking zero. Luckily, there was always a spare coin laying around to get you started again, so after much time passed, I finally hit big with a 777 and got 30 coins. I had beaten the odds. I had earned my piece of victory, so I set out again to pay back the cab driver and continue with the case. But then a mugger showed up, one whom I had not seen before, a bigger brute, tough and mean, so I decided to punch him, what else? But he socked me, laid me out, and next thing, I was waking up with a full headache and empty pockets. All my money was taken. Everything I had worked for was pulled like a rug from under me. What a rotten move. I had never seen a game do something so wretched and cruel. Have you ever played a game where you had to collect items or power-ups for what seemed like hours? Well, farming items is one thing, but imagine if out of nowhere the game throws a monkey wrench at you and says, hey, you know what? It's all gone. Fuck this game. Fuck it to fucking hell. I was ready to throw the goddamn thing out the window, but instead, I just took another swig of the hard stuff and soldiered on. Back to the casino, back to square one. Many losses and few wins later, I finally had what I would consider enough money. So after that whole debacle, I rode another cab and found my way to a doctor's office where I raided a whole shelf of drugs. This is unlike any other NES game where you might find a pill or a first aid kit, something like that. Here, it's an entire medicine cabinet and it tells you the names of the specific drugs. The idea is to ingest them to restore your memory and reveal more parts of the story. In fact, this is the big moment where Ace remembers who he is. Can you think of any other game where the whole mission culminates in swallowing a bunch of unprescribed medications? Not to mention, the way you have to do it is by selecting the drugs, then putting them into capsules, and then using the capsules on yourself. Why does everything have to be so complicated? Anyway, let's round up the family-friendly, wholesome entertainment this game brings to the kids. You have drugs, alcohol, murder, punching ladies on the street, stealing wallets, guns, gambling, buying guns with gambling money, and if that's not enough, it adds body shaming to the mix. A large woman in a trunk is referred to as a tub of lard. And it's not a character calling her that. It's the game's narration. Oh, man. As I got closer to wrapping up this case, I couldn't help but dwell on how complicated the items are. If you examined a diary, you may have assumed that you had read it, but then you realize all you had done was look at the cover. To read it, you have to open it. It's like game logic trying to apply to real logic while you're trying to think of it as a fucking video game. At one point, I stole somebody's mail. Yeah, stole their fucking mail right out of the goddamn mailbox. Of course, you can't just examine the envelope. You have to take the envelope, then open it, then take the letter inside, and then you still have to examine the letter. Even items you've taken already sometimes have more items inside them, like a wallet. You can't use the card that's in your wallet unless you open the wallet, take the card, and then use the card. It's as if the game doesn't consider you have that card unless it's out of your wallet. That's like saying if you go into a store and you have a credit card with you, you don't really have that credit card because it's inside your wallet. I mean, maybe they overthought this just a little? As your inventory grows, it becomes even more tedious to page through it all. I mean, look at this. Look at how long this takes. How is he holding all this shit anyway? This detective is walking around trying to be inconspicuous, but his trench coat is packed to shit with everything but the kitchen sink. He strolls into a bedroom where there's a sleeping woman, which is creepy as fuck. He opens her drawer and just starts taking shit. I mean, this guy's more curious than a cat. Pen? Glasses? Why does he have to take everything he sees? A tissue? Really now, a tissue? What do I need that for? The text says, you know how to use them, don't you? You just put one to your nose and blow. Well, thanks. This guy is the ultimate hoarder. He has so much random shit, but you want to make sure to take everything because you don't know what you're going to need later. Oh yeah, trust me, if you forget something and have to go back, that's the worst. It turns out, you really don't need that much. In fact, before the game's over, you have to get rid of all that incriminating evidence. So you spent all that time getting that stuff just to throw it away. And of all the ways you'd think to dispose of it, you have to use a storm drain. Yeah, all the guns, the ammo case, everything goes down that fucking storm drain. You're throwing away yarn, condoms, LJN Rollin' Rockers, a sailboat, and then the clown from It comes up. So now that you have the correct inventory, you head to the police station. As long as you have the proper evidence, the text explains how there was a trial and the real murderers were brought to justice. You're congratulated for a job well done, and then you get a cool epilogue with a nice graphic showing your character, Ace Harding, for the first time. It's quite a satisfying ending, far better than average for NES. I started to feel woozy, like the world was spinning. Was it the drink? No. I realized it was the feeling of blind nostalgia. Even though the game had shitty aspects, it had some redeeming traits and was rather captivating. I couldn't help but fall under that good old NES spell. I stumbled back into my nerd lair as my senses began to fail me, my brain shrouded in that same childhood fog. I grabbed my zapper. I took aim, remembering all the heartaches the game had brought me. I could hear it telling me how it had no choice. It did what it needed to do. I could have given this baby a fair judgment. I could have said, hey, it wasn't that bad. But since this is a nerd episode, somebody had to take the fall, and it wasn't going to be me. So long, sweetheart. So that's how it all went down, and as I sit now amongst all my games, I know the next case is just around the corner. The nerd is always on the hunt for the next item, the stuff that shit is made of.